In summer 2024, the tryouts for West Coast Overtime Elite are going on, and a big crowd is gathered to watch the basketball players show their skills. In these tryouts, 9 players are all on the field at once, each trying to score against the others at the same time. A boy with glasses explains that the Overtime Elite Academy only takes players who have the most talent from all around the world. Another guy then says it looks like the players are just wrestling over the ball instead of playing, but the glasses boy answers that when they pick the next prodigy of basketball, they take away everything a player already knows about the game. While this is happening, one of the players on the field runs quickly past every other member, and scores a goal right in front of the crowd. Years later, a boy watches basketball in TV and thinks that he is going to dominate the pro leagues, but in reality, he works at a convenience store. One of the boys tries to steal chocolate, but he beats him up and sees that the store owner gives him pay and an early day off. Later, the boy whose name is Omari walks in the street when he sees some people playing basketball, so he quickly gets back home and grabs the basketball. However, Omari's auntie tells him not to go as she needs him to help her with dinner, and his little sister, Cassie, is struggling and needs help with her homework. Right after that, Omari's mom makes him wash the dishes even though he is already tired, which makes him wonder to himself why his life has to turn out this way. Later that same night, Omari quietly leaves some money behind for his family and then decides to run away on his own. At the same time, the head of the Overtime Elite Academy is also walking down the road when his eyes catch Omari on a basketball court playing all alone. At first, the man wonders why Omari is not taking any shots toward the hoop, but then he slowly realizes that Omari is actually imagining another version of himself as his opponent and is seriously playing against that imaginary self. He feels curious because no kid usually comes out in the middle of the night just to play basketball all by themselves. He watches closely and realizes that Omari is exactly the type of player they have been searching for all along, since he is a true wild card. The next days move on as usual and Omari keeps going through the same boring routine during the day, but every single night the head of the Overtime Academy secretly comes to watch Omari practicing basketball alone. Instead of only watching from the side, the man finally walks up to Omari and tells him that the moment has come for him to face someone real, and he then asks Omari to play directly against him. To make it more serious, the man also puts out an offer of $10,000 if Omari manages to win the match, and without wasting much time, Omari agrees quickly to take on his challenge. After that, both of them get ready to play and Omari starts off smooth as he dribbles the ball and quickly runs past the man because he wants the money so badly. Omari rushes straight toward the net and almost throws the ball in, but suddenly the guy shows up out of nowhere, calling Omari's dribbling shifty while he quickly stops the ball and saves it from going inside the hoop. Omari stands there thinking that the block was completely insane, and he still can't believe how the man managed to steal the ball away from him so easily. After that, the man suddenly uses his Ultra Instinct powers and moves past Omari in a flash. Omari gets really furious because he does not want to let that speed catch him off guard a second time. Right after, Omari charges straight at him with full effort, trying his best to steal the ball away, yet the guy smoothly dribbles around him and slips past once again. Without much trouble, the man then drops the ball easily into the net, and the sight of it leaves Omari completely shocked. The guy then tells Omari that his drive earlier wasn't bad as his spin move kept the ball away from him. This left him with two choices: either try to recover and get between him and the basket, or exploit an open after he let him pass. Afterward, the guy gives Omari the ball and says he will double the offer, and if he scores on him, he will pay $20,000. Omari wonders that at first glance, this guy has so many openings, but it's all facade, but he still can't imagine how his aunties would react if she saw that kind of money. However, Omari gets excited because he is playing against someone this strong. Afterward, Omari moves forward, dribbling even better than before. Seeing that, the guy wonders that he has two choices like before, but then he decides to stay in front of him as he already blocked the ball earlier. However, Omari can already sense that if he goes straight ahead, the man will easily cut him off, but if he tries to go right, he will end up running straight into him as well. So, Omari quickly thinks that the only way to beat him is to do something completely unexpected, something the guy would never see coming from a player like him. Gathering all his focus and energy, Omari suddenly charges up and throws the ball right through the man's legs, then swiftly grabs it again and rushes straight toward the basket. With all his strength, Omari jumps and manages to throw the ball perfectly into the hoop, leaving the man standing there in total shock at what just happened. After the game ends, the man keeps his promise and hands Omari the money, but then he makes another offer, telling Omari he can either take the cash or accept a ticket that will let him join the Overtime Elite tryouts. Afterward, the guy says that before he makes a decision, he makes it clear that it's not a direct ticket to the pro leagues but an opportunity. He then says that his job as a scout is to find the greatest prospects and the greatest prospects in the world of basketball. When Omari hears those words, he starts wondering about what the man means when he says he is a scout, and Omari thinks that this person might be a scout for a college basketball team. However, the guy clarifies that he is not a college scout, but instead he works as a scout for something called Overtime Elite. The man goes on to explain to Omari about how the basketball industry works, telling him that every year, there are billions of dollars that flow around in the professional basketball world, and this money goes to different people including the players, the advertisers who promote the sport, and the investors who put money into it. Then the man asks Omari a question, wondering what Omari would think if there was a secret society made up of the world's richest basketball fans, and these rich people gather together in private places to watch a private basketball league that regular people don't know about, and this league features the rise of the world's next great basketball talent. The man explains that this secret world of basketball, which operates behind the scenes, is what fuels the professional leagues that everyone knows about, and this organization is called Overtime Elite. Moreover, it's a way for the most powerful basketball executives to invest in early talent and a path for athletes with potential to truly shine before the gatekeepers of pro basketball. He also says that to make sure the basketball player hones his skills, they have to access the latest tech, passing classes, even obtain better dorm rooms. Hearing that, Omari gets excited as it's a school that funnels talent into professional basketball leagues. However, Omari doesn't seem to believe what the man is saying, so the scout tells him to just take the money instead, though even that offer sounds too good to be true. Curious and a bit doubtful, Omari asks what the catch is, and the man answers that the catch is simple: an opportunity means nothing without preparation. Then he pulls out the ticket and explains that whether Omari survives the Overtime Elite tryouts or not will depend entirely on him. It's because their scouts are watching everywhere and there are secret tryouts happening all over the world. The man also adds that for most players, the doors to professional basketball will stay closed forever, but for the top 9 athletes from each tryout, they will earn the chance to be admitted into the Overtime Elite Academy. The man then tells Omari that if he is truly desperate for money, he should just take the cash, but if he really believes in himself and his talent, then he should choose the ticket instead. Later that night, Omari quietly takes the briefcase and sneaks back into his house without anyone noticing. Meanwhile, at a meeting, a few men ask the scout, whose name is Gray, if he has managed to find any potential candidate, and Gray replies that the one he discovered is a total wildcard. At the same time, Omari opens the briefcase in his room and is surprised to see the ticket to Overtime Elite shining inside. A week later, Omari travels to the location where the big trial is being held, and with a deep breath, he steps forward and walks through the large gate ahead of him. After that, Omari walks inside the building and starts thinking to himself that if his auntie ever finds out that he turned down a $20,000 offer, she will definitely kill him for making such a bad decision. Omari then looks around and sees a bunch of different people training and practicing their basketball skills. He also notices some men wearing black suits who are forcefully dragging away a boy and taking him somewhere. The people finally notice that Omari has arrived and they tell him that he is late for the tryout, and they instruct him to pick a spot on the court and put on the overtime tryout goggles that they give him. However, Omari feels really weird about this whole situation. He wonders who actually uses goggles when playing basketball, since it's not like this is some kind of military experiment or virtual reality game. After thinking about it for a moment, Omari decides to wear goggles anyway. Once he puts them on, he can suddenly see a virtual basketball hoop and a digital scoreboard floating in front of him, and he realizes that this is exactly what everyone else in the room was seeing while they were training. All of a sudden, a weird-looking creature appears right in front of Omari's vision, and this creature tells Omari that his name is Dribble. He is a digital robot who has been assigned specifically to Omari by the Overtime Elite organization. The man then tells Omari that since he is listed as an offensive player, he will begin his test at the shooting range, where he has 10 minutes to complete the challenge. He explains that the blue basket will light up and flash for 3 seconds, and during that time, Omari must score at least 60% of his shots in order to move on to the next stage. Dribble then turns to Omari and asks if he is ready to start his 10-minute shooting trial, and that's when Omari quickly does the math in his head and realizes that he needs to make 120 shots out of 200 to pass. Feeling nervous, Omari asks what will happen if he doesn't make it, and Dribble replies that if he fails, he will be forbidden to speak about anything he experienced there and will be permanently exiled from the Overtime Elite program. After that, Omari begins his trial and starts shooting the ball again and again into the basket, trying his best to raise his score with every shot he makes. When the 10 minutes finally end, he breathes heavily but feels relieved as he realizes that he has managed to pass the trial successfully. Soon after, another test begins that lasts for a full hour and then more tests follow one after another. However, Omari pushes through and manages to pass all of them. Dribble then looks at him and says that it's time for his final test, explaining that Overtime Elite has created a holographic opponent made from the data they collected during all of Omari's earlier challenges. In this last test, Omari will have to face off one-on-one against his own image in a best-of-3 match to prove his true skill. Meanwhile, Omari's aunt comes to the shop because she wants to buy something and she screams out his name so he can come and help her out. Instead of finding Omari there, she finds Stan, who seems to be having some kind of argument with some little boys who are making fun of him and teasing him. She walks up to Stan and asks him if Omari is maybe taking his break right now. Stan looks really shocked when she asks him if Omari is on break, and he tells her not to say Omari's name around him because he is covering Omari's shift. Stan tells her that Omari called him earlier that day and told him he is sick and cannot come to work. Meanwhile, at the Overtime Elite tryouts, Omari starts his 3-round game against his hologram opponent while Dribble watches the match from nearby. The game is really intense and the hologram does not give Omari any time to breathe or take a break, which makes Dribble feel super nervous. Omari realizes that Overtime Elite has spent a lot of money and time on their technology because the hologram plays basketball exactly like him, just like Dribble said it would. Omari keeps wondering how their system can capture his playing style down to every single detail so perfectly. Omari knows that if this becomes a battle of stamina and endurance, he will lose really badly. The scoreboard shows that Omari has 1 point and his hologram also has 1 point, and one of them needs to score 3 points to win the game, but things are not looking good for Omari right now. While he is playing the game, Omari keeps wondering why he cannot seem to drive the ball past his hologram opponent. While he is thinking about this, the hologram suddenly grabs the ball right out of his hands. Omari feels shocked and realizes he is in big trouble because the hologram will go straight to the hoop to score. Omari wonders how the hologram was able to steal the ball, but there is no time to think about it because the hologram is already heading to the hoop to score. On the Overtime Elite screen, Gray stands with some people who are watching the game. One of the scouts says the game is boring, but Gray does not say anything back. The scout keeps talking and says that even though Omari looks like he has some skill, he cannot even hold on to the ball properly. The man says he doubts Omari can make it past the first tests. Gray, who is standing nearby, tells them they would not be able to notice a wild card player even if he put it right under their noses. The man gets angry and asks Gray who he thinks he is. The man makes fun of Gray and reminds him that he is still looking for contestants to bet on who will survive the tryouts. Gray tells him to shut up and keep watching so he can see the contestant who will survive Overtime Elite. The scoreboard updates and shows the hologram has 2 points while Omari still has 1 point. Dribble yells out and tells Omari that just one more basket by the hologram and he will not even get to reach the tryouts. Omari tells Dribble to shut up and let him think because what he is saying is really obvious. The tension is really high and Omari tries his best to figure out the situation. He thinks that if the hologram is an exact copy of him, then whatever weakness he saw in himself that let the hologram take the ball so easily must also be in the hologram. He watches the hologram stand in front of him to guard the ball and wonders how he can find that weakness. He finally takes a deep breath and realizes what he is about to do is really risky, but it might be his only way to win the game. Suddenly Omari tosses the ball to the hologram and Dribble almost loses his mind because it looks like Omari wants to lose this game on purpose. Even the scouts are shocked because they have never seen a contestant throw the ball to his opponent. Dribble shouts at Omari and asks him what he is doing. The hologram catches the ball and looks surprised too. Omari ignores everyone and screams out that he came here to chase his dream of becoming the greatest basketball player in the world. He yells that he is trying to find out his own weaknesses by watching how the hologram drives with the ball, and he says it would be better to give up on that dream right now if he cannot find his own weakness. Afterward, Omari walks into the locker room to join the other guys who passed the first phase of the competition. He starts wondering why they are all giving off really weird vibes. Omari notices that all of them already have uniforms on their bodies and have taken out the glasses that they used for the previous game with the hologram. Just then, the speech congratulates all the boys for making it through the preliminary tests of the Overtime Elite tryout successfully and advancing to the next level. The voice announces that they will now begin the second phase of the competition, which will be much more challenging than the first one. A large door that leads to the arena for the next phase suddenly opens up right in front of them. The voice says that the remaining participants should have already upgraded to the lenses that are sitting in their lockers waiting for them to use in the next round. Omari, who is still holding his glasses in his hands, realizes they will not be using their glasses for the next phase, so he decides to put them away in his locker right away. He opens his locker and finds some really high-tech lenses inside which he thinks are way more compact and better than the glasses they used before in the previous phase. The voice also announces that they can go ahead and proceed to the next room once they have changed into the official tryout jersey that was provided for each participant in their individual lockers. Omari feels shocked to hear that he is supposed to have already put on the jersey, and he wonders why he has not been given his own jersey yet like everyone else. He quickly runs over to several of the guys who are heading out of the door and asks them where they got their jersey from and if they know where his jersey might be, but none of them answer him. Out of nowhere, a young guy named Tion walks up to Omari from behind him and tells him that he found an extra jersey hanging in the locker next to his own locker and asks Omari if it belongs to him. Omari tells Tion that he is a lifesaver and thanks him a lot for saving his behind and helping him out when nobody else would even look his way. Suddenly, a massive player drops his hands on Tion's shoulder and asks him if he did not hear what he told everyone earlier. Tion's eyes immediately widen with fear as he realizes that he has gotten himself into some sort of trouble with this big guy. The massive guy's name is Oscar, who reminds Tion that only 9 of them will survive the tryouts, which means that they are all enemies and they should not be helping each other get by or succeed in any way at all. Before Tion can finish his explanation to Oscar about what happened, Oscar throws him over the nearby table. Omari quickly comes between Oscar and Tion to protect his new friend from further harm and abuse. He angrily asks Oscar what his problem is and why he is acting this way toward them when they do nothing wrong. While taking a defensive position to defend Tion from more harm, Omari notices that Oscar is a few feet taller than him and towers over him like a giant would over a smaller person, which makes the situation more intimidating. Oscar tells him that if he is that terrible and lame at basketball, then they should have just cut him from the competition already and not wasted everyone's time with his poor performance. The big guy jokes that it is funny that the organization is named Overtime Elite and says they may not be so elite after all since they let trash like Omari get this far in the game. Oscar and his guys leave them behind and head toward the next phase. While Omari tries to help Tion, who is still on the ground, Oscar tells them it does not matter anyway. As Omari helps Tion up, Oscar tells them they will settle their issues on the basketball court. The big guy looks back and tells them he will squash their silly dreams on the court. As the 3 guys step into the arena, Oscar jokes that a benchwarmer like Tion could never share a court with him. After that, everyone gathers on the field while Dribble stands in front of them and goes over the rules one more time before the match starts. Once everyone grabs a ball, the game officially begins, and the whole field quickly turns into total chaos. Omari looks around and realizes that every single player is trying to take the others out in this tight space, but instead of getting caught up in it, he quickly sprints past most of them to stay ahead. Suddenly, Tion shows up right in front of him, and for a second Omari thinks he's going to attack, but instead, Tion strikes the person coming from behind and ends up saving Omari. That's when Omari figures out that the game they're in is all about eliminating one another, and that having allies could make a huge difference in surviving longer. Just then, Oscar and his group of friends show up, and the way they walk together makes them look even scarier and more intimidating than Thanos himself. After that, Oscar's friends charge forward with full speed, and now the match turns into an intense 2-on-2 battle. One of the guys rushes toward Omari and tries to steal the ball from his hands, but he fails miserably as Omari swiftly dodges him, runs past in a blur, and eliminates him instead. Omari then quickly glances around the field to see what Tion is doing, and he notices that Tion is actually taking on 2 players all by himself. Suddenly, one of the opponents sneaks up from behind and tries to knock Tion out by stealing his ball, but because of Tion's insanely strong grip, the ball doesn't move even an inch. Without wasting a second, Tion spins around and moves right behind the guy, and smacks his ball away with a quick strike, instantly eliminating him from the game. Seeing that, Omari gets all pumped up because here he has to fight with this kind of top-notch person. Suddenly, Oscar appears behind Tion and another guy kicks Tion and he falls. Oscar then asks Tion if he really thinks he stood a chance in a place like this, and now this is where his dream of being a pro basketball player dies. After that moment, Tion gets eliminated from the game and the digital robot tells him that he needs to make his way outside the boundary line and leave the court. On the other hand, Omari feels bad for Tion because he just got knocked out of the competition. However, Oscar suddenly charges straight at him to try and get his ball away from him, but Omari quickly dodges Oscar's attack and instead he smacks Oscar's ball with his hand to try and knock it away. However, Oscar doesn't let the ball go that easily and he manages to save himself from getting eliminated, but he starts getting worried inside his head as he thinks about how Omari managed to dodge his attack and counterattack him back in just a split second. After that happens, more and more players start getting eliminated one by one from the game. Omari starts thinking to himself that even if he manages to survive and stay in the game, it doesn't really mean anything important if he doesn't eliminate other players to get points and score. Omari then eliminates another player by kicking his ball away with perfect timing. After that, he sprints toward another opponent, but Oscar quickly yells for his friends to go after Omari and stop him. Omari, however, stays calm and thinks to himself that they might be better at shooting or other parts of the game, but when it comes to moving around the court, he is the true king. He then starts moving with incredible speed, almost like he has gained some kind of ultra instinct power. In just a few seconds, he manages to eliminate a bunch of players all at once. The crowd watches in shock, wondering how Omari is able to move through all the players at full speed while dodging and keeping control of the ball at the same time. Soon, Omari gets close to the boundary line where several players rush toward him, and he realizes that if they manage to steal his ball, not only will he be eliminated, but they will also take away all of his points with it. Behind him, Oscar starts moving quickly toward Omari as the timer ticks down and the game is almost over, leaving Omari with nowhere else to run. Oscar shouts that Omari can't survive this game all by himself, but Omari smirks and proudly shows off his first place spot on the leaderboard, which only makes Oscar even more furious. Without hesitation, Omari charges straight at him with full speed, and Oscar panics for a moment because it looks like they're about to crash right into each other. Thinking fast, Oscar spins to the side to avoid him, but Omari keeps coming after him like a wild werewolf, refusing to stop the chase. Finally, as Oscar gets dangerously close to the boundary line, Tion suddenly appears and smacks Oscar's ball, causing the system to switch their positions instantly. After that, the game finally ends and Oscar stands frozen, unable to believe that he actually lost to those two. In just a moment, the clear path he had toward his dream feels like it's turned to ashes right before his eyes. Losing control of his emotions, Oscar yells out that he doesn't need this trash overtime elite program to reach his dream, saying that he'll climb up the professional leagues all on his own. He then adds angrily that when he finally makes it there, he won't ever forget the two of them. With tears running down his face, Oscar walks off the field along with the other players who have been eliminated. Tion turns to Omari and tells him not to take Oscar's words too seriously, but Omari just stands there, completely stunned, his heart pounding faster than ever because he has never felt anything like this in his entire life before. Omari starts thinking to himself that he eliminated Oscar without even realizing it, but what shocks him even more is the fact that he ended up crushing the dreams of dozens of other players too. He feels a strange heaviness in his chest, thinking that maybe the reason he feels this way is because he knows that he could also lose his own dream at any moment. That sense of standing right on the edge between success and failure makes the whole situation even harder to handle. Later, in the locker room, Tion talks non-stop about how impressed he was by Omari's amazing moves earlier, his voice full of excitement as he goes over every detail. However, Omari tells him to keep talking as much as he wants, saying that he actually likes it when his teammates talk freely. Tion then mentions that Oscar always said he never had a real chance to get scouted as a center since most pro players are at least half a foot taller than him, but even so, he still kept playing because he truly loved basketball. Omari then says that even though Tion is shorter than anyone else, but he still won, and that is what matters. The next game is going to be 3 versus 3 and Omari is excited as it will be his first time playing with an official team. However, they are still worried about how they are going to find their third teammate as everyone has already gotten in a group of 3. Meanwhile, the man in black suits asks Gray if that kind of kid he put his money on, and Gray says that his dribbling and quick instinct and everything is perfect. However, another guy with glasses asks Gray if Omari can actually score because that is all matters in basketball. He thinks that his candidate is even more interesting than his Omari and his tryouts to shoot 100% from the field, and he is a sharpshooter god, Jaden Brooks. Seeing Jaden, Omari realizes that he is from the shooting range, but Tion asks him if he knows him, to which Omari replies that he doesn't as he only watched him shoot earlier. Seeing that, Omari and Tion quickly run over to him and asks if he have a team yet, but Jaden asks if he want him to join them, so Omari tells him that they are looking for the third man for the next round. Jaden says that he saw him during the second round and his dribbling seems good enough. Hearing that, Omari loses his mind as he only called his dribbling good enough instead of amazing. Jaden then asks him why he is teaming up with Tion as he was eliminated in the last round. Jaden then adds that the only reason he is here is because he opened an opportunity for him. He further asks if he really thought that someone who can't survive on their own and relies on others is a good choice for a teammate in a place like this. However, Omari takes Tion's side and says that the only thing he learned from tryout is that overtime elite is not just about individual talent, but it's also about teamwork. Omari then says that they are a full package deal, but Jaden realizes that none of other guys wanted to recruit him, but he thinks that Omari is capable of understanding him. Just then, the robot asks everyone to register their teams and Jaden agrees to join their team. Afterward, the stage of the third round gets ready with an incredible number of people sitting in the audience to watch the game. Dribbler then explains the rules of the third round to everyone and says that this game has a special scoring rule, because if someone scores from behind the 3-point line, it is worth 10 points instead of 3. Omari and the others also walk up to the ground to start playing, as Omari tells them that this game prioritizes those that can shoot well, and since Omari and Tion are terrible at shooting from far away, Jaden will do it instead. The team that they are going against is the top-ranked Overtime Elite tryout team, which has players named Luke, Ray, and Devin who are all very skilled and experienced at basketball. After that, Devin steps forward and tells Omari that he watched his match in the second round against Oscar and found his performance really amazing. The two of them shake hands, and Omari can't help but think that the number 1 player is actually a pretty nice guy in person. Jaden, however, gets irritated and asks Omari if he's done making friends already, but Omari replies that they're just showing good sportsmanship. Jaden says that he didn't come here to make friends, he came here to be the best, and that means being ready to crush someone else's dream if he has to. Hearing those words, Omari realizes that what Jaden said is true, because in this place, surviving means destroying someone else's chance at going pro. Still, deep down, Omari tells himself that he wants to win without turning into someone like that. Soon after, the game begins, and both Devin and Omari leap into the air to reach for the ball, but Devin moves faster and manages to tap it toward his team's side. The ball goes to Ray, who takes off running like the Flash, moving so fast that no one can keep up. Devin sprints right behind him and it becomes clear that the two are working together to take down Jaden. Devin uses a clever trick to stop Jaden in his tracks, giving Ray the chance to rush straight toward Tion. Tion does everything he can to steal the ball but Ray smoothly dodges him. At the same time, Omari chases after Ray, shocked by how easily Ray got past both Jaden and Tion like they were nothing. Then, Ray leaps toward the basket, ready to score but Omari jumps up to block him. Just before Omari can reach him, Ray quickly passes the ball to Devin who catches it and instantly shoots it into the basket. After that, the game continues with Jaden having the ball in his hands and he tries to run towards the basket but Ray and Luke suddenly appear right in front of him and block his path. Jaden then hears Tion's voice calling out to him so he quickly moves to pass the ball over to him, but his ankle gets injured. However, Ray takes advantage of this situation and steals the ball away from him. After that happens, Ray passes the ball to Luke who then passes the ball over to Devin, and then Devin throws the ball into the basket and gains a score for the second time for his team. Now Team C has 4 points in total but Team D still has 0 points on board. After that play, Jaden gets the ball again and he tries to go towards the basket to score, but Luke and Ray appear in front of him once more and block his way. Omari starts wondering if they are doing this defensive strategy because they know that Jaden can shoot better than other players or because of the reduced possession timer that puts pressure on them. Omari wonders what is wrong with Jaden and why he is moving differently but then he notices and realizes that Jaden's foot is injured. Then Luke takes this opportunity and steals the ball away from Jaden. In last year's regional finals game, Jaden made another 3-pointer shot and showed everyone watching that he is the best shooter on the court and has amazing skills. One of his teammates says to the others that if they keep playing like this and maintaining their performance, they can still win the regionals tournament. Jaden confidently tells his teammate to just keep passing the ball to him whenever he is open because he will keep scoring baskets for them to win the game. But then, a player from the opposing team runs straight at Jaden without slowing down at all and slams into him on purpose with a lot of force. The next day after the incident, Jaden wakes up in the hospital feeling pain, and the doctor comes in and tells him that he has a bad injury to his leg that will need time to heal. However, with enough rest and the right physical therapy, things can get back to normal for Jaden. But Jaden asks the doctor when he can start playing basketball with his team again. The doctor shakes his head and says that the damage to his leg is pretty serious, and if he hurts it again, he might lose his ability to walk forever. Hearing that, Jaden's world completely collapsed upside down as for him basketball was the only thing that kept him going. Later that day, Jaden sees a bunch of kids playing basketball in the park but then he receives a phone call from Mike and Mike tells him about his surgery and how it went. Jaden then asks Mike about their match and how the team did, but Mike tells him that they lost the game and that they gave it everything they had and tried their best, but without Jaden on the court they couldn't do anything to win. Mike then says that their season is officially over now and he will be graduating from school this year, so he called Jaden to say that it was an honor to play by his side during these years they spent together. However, Jaden quickly ends the call without saying much more and he curses at that trash guy who made Jaden end up like this with his injury. Jaden tries to stand up on his feet, thinking to himself that he can't let his dream die because of that guy and that he doesn't want to give up on basketball no matter what happens to him. Back in the present moment, Jaden falls down on the ground and sees Luke scoring another point for their team as he throws the ball into the basket and makes the shot. Just then, Omari arrives next to Jaden and tells him that if he is still playing in the game with an injury like that, then it means he really loves basketball and cares about it deeply. After hearing those words, Jaden grabs Omari's hand tightly and stands back up on his feet, saying that he will put everything on the line for his dream. He then tells Omari to pass the ball to him because he wants to prove to Omari that he can bring his team to the highest level of basketball possible. After that play, Omari gets the ball in his hands and he thinks to himself that because the ball possession timer decreased down to 10 seconds now. However, if they want to score quickly and efficiently, they have to pass the ball around to their teammates. However, he thinks that Jaden is completely shut out and can't get open because of the double-team defense on him, but that leaves Tion open without anyone guarding him closely. Just then, Devin tries to block Omari's path and Omari thinks that Devin's perception is really good as he is cutting off his passing lane to stop the ball from reaching Tion, while also waiting out the shot clock to run down. Instead of throwing the ball over to Tion right away, Omari decides to face Devin himself and take him on, and he runs past him instantly with his speed. After getting past Devin, Omari passes the ball to Tion when he sees Devin coming after him from behind to catch up. Seeing that pass happen, Luke stops blocking Jaden and runs after Tion to try and stop him, but Tion goes straight to the basket and throws the ball up and scores a point for their team. After that, Luke and Devin start arguing, but Devin tells him to just stick to the plan. Luke doesn't like the idea of having two people block Jaden, though. He says that Ray should handle Tion instead, but Devin tells him to relax because his plan is still working. This makes Luke angry, and he yells that the other team had a clear path to the basket with no one stopping them, which proves the plan isn't working at all. Both of them get even more upset, but Ray quickly steps in to calm them down. Then he passes the ball to Devin, who ends up face-to-face with Omari on the court. Earlier in the day, Devin told his team members that Jaden was the guy who took his team out of the quarter-finals tournament last year and that he is a legendary shooter with incredible talent. Devin also says that Jaden ruined his team's journey and stopped them from advancing further, so that's why he wants to go against him in the next round and get his revenge. Back in the present moment, Devin finally leaves Omari behind and thinks he got past him, but then Tion appears out of nowhere right in front of him. Seeing that happen, Devin wonders that despite Tion being short in height, he can't see any opening to get past him or make a move. Just then, Omari manages to steal the ball away from Devin from behind, and it turns out that Tion was just a distraction to keep Devin's attention focused elsewhere. After that play, Omari passes the ball over to Jaden so that he can prove once again that he is a legendary sharpshooter like before. After receiving the ball, Jaden sees an open shot opportunity and decides to throw the ball from half the field away. The ball goes straight into the basket perfectly, gaining them 10 additional points for their team. Afterward, we get a flashback when the doctor broke the terrible news to him about his basketball career and future. The doctor apologizes to Jaden and tells him he really wishes he had better news to share with him but confesses that it is best for him to give up on playing basketball completely because of his injury. In the present moment during the game, Jaden scores from far off in the court and they get 10 points added to their team score, which makes everyone excited. The crowd that is watching the game as well as the super fans and executives all rejoice and celebrate at the sight of the amazing shot that Jaden just made. Omari jokingly tells Jaden that it looks like he can pass the ball after all and is not just a ball hog who keeps it to himself. Jaden tells him to shut up and stop talking about his playing style. He tells Omari that if he wants to win this game then he should just keep passing the ball to him so he can score more points. Omari smiles at him and calls him an arrogant ball hog who only cares about himself getting the glory. Omari jokingly asks him if he really thinks he and Tion are going to let him have all the spotlight and attention during this game. As the game continues to progress and gets more intense, Luke says it is clear why they had to injure Jaden in the leg during their previous game because his range of shots is really impressive and hard to defend against. Meanwhile on the court, Devin moves the ball and tries to get past Tion who is guarding him closely. He tells the others on his team that it is all still good and they can still win this game easily. He passes the ball behind him to another person on his team and says all they have to do is score right back to tie up the game. Tion is shocked to see him pass the ball behind his back with such skill and he looks at where the ball went to see who caught it. Devin distracts Tion by moving past him quickly but he passes the ball behind his back to Luke who is waiting nearby. Before Tion can respond or react to what is happening, Luke passes the ball back to Devin in a quick motion. As Devin rushes towards the hoop with the ball in his hands, Omari appears in front of him and tries to stop him from scoring. Omari says sorry but says he has to stop him here and not let him score any points. As Ray rushes past them to station himself close to the hoop and get ready for a pass, Devin responds back that he is the one who is supposed to be apologizing to Omari. He tells Omari that it is too bad he is on Jaden's team because he is just collateral damage in this battle between teams. Devon faces another direction to distract Omari and confuse him, and he passes the ball to Ray, who is waiting near the hoop. Jaden tries to block Ray from making the shot, but Ray throws the ball toward the hoop anyway with force. The ball hits the ring and bounces off without going in, which disappoints Ray and his team. Ray frowns and tells himself that his throw was not so stylish or smooth like he wanted it to be. He checks the timer on the scoreboard and sees he had 4 seconds left to possess the ball, and he says that shooting a three-pointer under these difficult conditions is crazy and risky. Omari commends Jaden for the nice pressure he applied on Ray during that play, and he tries to tell him to get ready for the rebound. Little does he know that Devon is right behind him, running towards the hoop to slam the ball in if it comes his way. As Devon prepares to jump up high, he tells himself that he sacrificed too much to get to these tryouts and cannot lose now. He jumps towards the ball and tells himself that he has lost it all once before and cannot let that happen again. He grabs the ball in midair and prepares to smash it in, and he tells himself there is no choice but to win here and advance. Tion watches in horror as Devon smashes the ball into the hoop with force and scores 2 extra points for his team, which puts them ahead. Devon kicks Tion in the back as he jumps back down to the ground from the hoop. When he lands safely on the ground, Ray and Luke come to celebrate with him and congratulate him on the nice play. Luke tells Devon that his gameplay is not bad at all and is actually pretty impressive to watch. Ray thanks him for the save and for getting those important points back for their team. Tion, who is still on the ground, hisses due to the pain in his back from being kicked. Suddenly Omari reaches out his hand to help Tion up from the ground, and he asks him if he is good and not hurt too badly. Tion smiles at Omari and tells him he is fine and can keep playing without any problems. Omari grabs his hand and pulls him up from the ground and tells him that they are just getting started with this game and have a lot more to show. The game continues to progress and the boys advance towards their opponent, with Tion possessing the ball and dribbling it down the court. Omari passes Devon and Tion passes him the ball so he can make a play. Devon turns around to face him and tells him that he sure smiles a lot during the game, which is unusual. Devon tells him that a newbie like him must be really happy being on the court playing with better players. He mentions that he is newer to playing with a team, but Omari just looks at him without saying anything back. Devon guesses that this must be his first real game with actual competition and pressure on him. Omari tells him that he is from New York and asks him if he really thinks he is going to get into his head with trash talk. Omari passes the ball to his side and runs to get it as he wishes Devon good luck trying to stop him. Devon quickly turns around and he dashes close to Omari with impressive speed. He tells Omari that all this running around is finally catching up to him and making him tired, and Omari is shocked to see him move so quickly across the court. In a split second, Devon grabs the ball right out of his hands before he can react or protect it. After he grabs the ball away from Omari, he turns back and tells him he is lucky that he gets a second chance as he passes the ball to Ray, who is open. Ray collects the ball with a smirk on his face, and Devon tells Omari that it does not matter if he has Jaden on his team since the rest of them cannot keep up with their skill level. Ray smirks confidently and he attempts a three-pointer shot from far out on the court. The ball enters the hoop perfectly, and Devon tells him that he has already lost his dream once before and he will not let losers like them take it away again. Omari is shocked that he could take the ball from him so easily, and Devon tells them to give it everything they have got. He tells them not to hold back at all during this game. He turns back to Jaden and tells him that he needs to crush them at their best to prove himself. The leaderboard updates and shows Team C's score is now at 22 points while Team D is sitting at 14 points behind them. In a flashback to years ago, while Omari was playing in their neighborhood basketball court all by himself, he practices on his own. He imagines himself in a large stadium filled with fans and imagines himself as a rookie sensation with the ball surrounded by several opponents trying to stop him. Afterward, Omari returns to reality and sees his aunt standing by the court asking him to help her with the groceries she is carrying. She tells him that she still has some work to do and asks him if he minds giving her a hand with dinner. He hesitates for a moment because he wants to keep playing, and she asks him if he is listening to her at all. Omari looks sad as he walks toward her while still looking back at his basketball on the court. Suddenly he hears a loud crash and he looks back at his aunt with concern. His aunt crashes to the ground and Omari rushes to help her up. Later on, his aunt is hospitalized after she fainted from exhaustion, and Omari stands beside her bed. He tells her that she is always pushing herself too far and working too hard. Finally, he sits down in a nearby chair and tells himself that he needs to start pulling his weight too. In the present during the game, Omari tells himself that sometimes a dream is just a dream. Devon manages to score another shot and Team C gets 26 points while Team D still has 14 points. Some of the scouts chat that it seems the game is picking up, and Gray agrees with them. Gray starts to become tense and asks if everyone will be able to match the pace. Meanwhile, Omari gets the ball again and dribbles past Ray. Ray looks back at him and wonders how he is able to still move like that. As Omari moves closer to the hoop, Luke appears in front of him and tells him he will stop him here. Omari quickly responds and passes the ball to Tion, who is open. Tion makes a throw and it enters the hoop. The leaderboard updates and gives Team D 16 points, which causes Tion to celebrate. As they celebrate, Omari tells himself that he hates to admit it, but Devin was right. He admits that he is not used to a fast-paced game like this. Meanwhile, Luke scores and gets his team 28 points. Omari thinks about how they are constantly fighting to score as Jaden scores a 2-pointer. He also considers how they are constantly struggling to defend. Meanwhile, Luke scores another point and gets his team up to 30 points. Omari wonders how he is supposed to keep up in this chaotic game. As he moves towards the hoop, Devin blocks him again and says that he has finally reached his limit. Devin tells him that someone as pathetic as him deserves to have it all end here. Once more, Devin grabs the ball out of Omari's hand, which shocks him. Devin smirks as he makes his way to the hoop to score once more for his team. Omari looks back in shock at what is happening on the court. Jaden curses loudly and tells Tion to get back quickly to block Devin from scoring. Omari watches Devin goes for the hoop to make the final shot, and he tells himself that his dream of going pro is over if they score one more 3-pointers right now. He thinks about how he pushes himself so much today and considers how he can barely move his body anymore from exhaustion. He tells himself that he may have been wrong to chase this crazy dream of becoming a professional basketball player. He tells himself that coming to the Overtime Elite Academy in the first place is all a big mistake that he regrets now. However, Omari tells himself his life would be simpler if he just let go of this dream already. He lays on the ground and imagines himself falling into a graveyard with his dream. Suddenly, Tion yanks his jersey and asks him what he is doing by just standing there. Tion shouts at him and tells him he is not allowed to die yet. Tion rushes past him and manages to knock the ball out of Devin's hands, but Devin looks back at him and wonders how this kid is still playing at full energy. Tion quickly passes the ball to Omari. Omari grabs the ball and he does not seem to know what to do next. After that, Tion runs up to Omari with Devin chasing right behind him. Tion asks if Omari can still run and reminds him that it's not just his dream at stake. He tells Omari to get up because they're not finished yet. Hearing those words fires Omari up, and he turns around, heading straight toward the hoop. Ray is stunned to see that Omari is still pushing forward, refusing to stop. Luke then notices that Omari has a wide open chance to score a 2-pointer. Devin is caught off guard when Omari suddenly stops running, making him stop too. Devin stares in disbelief and says that there's no way Omari is actually planning to shoot from that far away. Omari stands on the court and jumps up to shoot a 3-pointer. Omari reasons that Tion is right. As he shot the ball, he tells himself he cannot believe he was so selfish. He recalls that he is so used to playing by himself that he almost thought this was just about his dream. He tells himself that this is about the entire team. Omari tells himself that he does not care if his body breaks here because he needs to push himself beyond for the sake of everyone. The ball flies into the air and enters right into the hoop. The leaderboard updates and gives Team D 28 points. Tion wonders that these last few minutes of the game are going to decide and determine who gets to go to the Elite Academy at overtime and who doesn't make it. After that, we get a flashback scene of Tion from an earlier time when Oscar used to insult him all the time, saying that a shrimp like him can never defend anything on the basketball court because of his small size. Oscar also made fun of Tion's height and says that he doesn't even have the guts or courage to stand up to the giants on the court who tower over him. Oscar then calls Tion a weakling who has no strength and says that someone like him should just stay on the bench where he belongs instead of trying to play. But then Tion grabs the basketball and Oscar realizes that he can't pull the ball away from him no matter how hard he tries. Tion then tells Oscar that he already knows that everyone he goes against will be bigger than him in size, and that's just the reality of his situation. However, he made a promise to himself a long time ago that he would become one of the greatest centers in the league no matter what. Tion gets angry that it doesn't matter if he has to face titans or giants on the court, but he will face whoever is in his path and he will win against them. Hearing that, Oscar gets furious and tells him to meet outside. Later, Oscar beats him up badly and throws him outside in the cold, and Tion wonders that when he steps into the court, he is always surrounded by mountains that loom over him. He further thinks that no one believes in him, and the worst part is he even don't know if he believes in himself or not, but he needs an opportunity to prove to everyone and himself that he deserves to stand against them. Just then, an old scout appears in front of him, and that's how he recruits Tion. Back in the present, the score is now 38 on both teams and Devin has the ball, who then quickly runs past Jaden and Omari. Devin goes straight towards the basket, thinking no one is going to stop them from winning, but then Tion comes out of nowhere like a powerful beast. On the other hand, Gray and the other scouts get stunned and shocked to see that Tion's presence on the court is completely different from before and has totally changed. However, Tion's recruiter speaks up and says that Tion doesn't believe in himself very much because other people don't believe in him first, and playing the center position, which is a role where height and raw power are really important, is basically impossible for someone with his small physique and body type. However, when the recruiter met Tion for the first time, he noticed something special about him. He noticed that the stress and pressure will go straight to Tion's head and it overloads his mind completely. Moreover, the recruiter adds that when Tion is in that special zone and mental state, he will challenge even the titans of the court who are much bigger than him, and that's exactly why he calls Tion the Little Titan Slayer as a nickname. On the other hand, Devon tries to get past Tion and move around him, but he can't do it at all, as whenever he tries to move in any direction, Tion appears right in front of him and blocks his path. After that, Omari and Jaden almost charge straight at Devon together, and Omari manages to steal the ball away from him and throws the ball into the basket, which makes their team win the match. After that moment, everyone in the recruit room is stunned by what just happened. Then the crowd starts chanting loudly and cheering for the winning team, and then Gray realizes something important and he finally understands what he was looking for. Gray knows that feeling of putting everything on the line and thriving under pressure, but only those players who are truly obsessed with victory and winning have a real shot at getting into the Overtime Elite Academy. Later that night, after everything is over, Omari heads back to his house, thinking to himself that he finally has the chance to go to the Overtime Elite Academy and make his dreams come true. Suddenly, he receives a phone call from Tion on his cell phone, and Omari wonders to himself that Tion might be dancing around in his room right now celebrating their victory. While talking to Tion on the phone, Omari enters his house through the front door, looking around for his auntie to tell her the good news. However, his auntie stands there in the room looking even scarier than the devil himself, and she says to Omari that he has been skipping school lately and he didn't even text her all day long to let her know where he was. She then tells him to answer her honestly, and if he lies then she will sell him to the devil. Later, Omari tells her everything and she loses her mind that he turned down $10,000 to go to a secret school that pays him to play basketball. She further can't believe that there is also special contact lenses that let him see a floating basketball. Omari's aunt then calms down and says that this sounds great, but she thinks that this is a bit risky as he has to fly to Atlanta for this slim chance to go pro. She then tells him to think rationally for a second, even though it's his dream and he always wanted this. Hearing that, Omari freaks out and says that for most of his life he has done what he needs to for their family, but now that he has a chance to change their lives, he will not miss it. Omari doesn't care if he ends up losing the competition and if he gets a year behind school because of this decision, but if he can make it into the academy, then he can provide an even better life for his family and give them opportunities. After hearing that, Omari's auntie starts tearing up as she understands how much he has sacrificed for them and their family, and she also knows that they are going to pay Omari double the salary that she is getting right now at her job. In the end, Omari's auntie allows him to follow his dream and chase what he really wants in life, and then both of them hug each other tightly with love and support. The next day, Omari starts packing his stuff and belongings for the final competition in Atlanta, where everything will be decided. Omari then travels and goes to the city of Atlanta, where the digital robot asks him if he is ready for his first day at the academy and all the challenges ahead, and Omari confidently tells the robot to bring it on because he is prepared for anything. After that, Dribble gives Omari a personal tour of the Overtime Elite Academy building, and he says that this place is different from any other academy in the world that exists. Dribble believes that it's different from any other school in the world because everything here revolves around basketball and the sport is the center of everything. Dribble then shows Omari the amazing training rooms and the classes that are available, which are tailored specifically to enhance his basketball knowledge and understanding of the game. However, he says that the better his basketball skills become, the more he will thrive and succeed at the Overtime Elite Academy. Dribbler shows Omari their cafeteria area, which has the same shooting machine that Omari used during the tryouts earlier. In there for 10 minutes of time, he will have to shoot basketballs at the range and hit targets, and if he does well enough, the cafeteria will reward him with a meal to eat. Suddenly, Omari notices a guy shooting and getting a 100% perfect score on the machine, as he thought that only Jaden was the only one good enough to shoot with that level of accuracy and speed combined. As a reward for his perfect score, the guy receives a steak meal that draws everyone's attention in the cafeteria and makes people look over. Dribbler further explains to Omari that his ranking within the Overtime Academy will determine all sorts of benefits for him, such as getting a better dorm room, better showers, and other bonuses that make life more comfortable. After that explanation, Dribbler takes Omari to his room to show him where he will be staying. Instead of getting excited about it, Omari is frustrated and disappointed to see that his bed is really small and uncomfortable. Dribble tells Omari that if he wants a better room with nicer things, he has to climb up the rankings and perform well, but Omari asks how the rankings actually work and what he needs to do. Dribble explains that each week, they use a special algorithm to calculate a number that adds points or subtracts points from his value as a player on the team. These points are calculated from various inputs and data from his performance, but the most important thing that affects the ranking is the overtime tournament games that happen regularly. Dribble says that every week, Omari will participate in games against the other teams in his sector in a round-robin format where everyone plays each other. Omari then asks if he is still playing with a team like before, but Dribble tells him that his roommates are actually his teammates for the games. Just then, Omari's roommates walk into the room and surprisingly they turn out to be Jaden and Tion from the tryouts. Tion quickly runs over to hug Omari tightly as he thought that the academy didn't put them together on the same team. Omari is really glad that they are all on the same team together as he thought that the three of them really synergized well and worked together at the tryouts earlier. Omari then asks both of them if they have met their other teammates yet, and that other person turns out to be Malik, the guy who scored the 100% perfect score on the shooting machine earlier in the cafeteria. Malik then says that this is his team and the Overtime Elite Academy is very clear that it rewards winners and successful players, while losers are sent back to their high school teams where they came from. He then says that if they actually want to climb the ranks here at the academy, then they have to do what he says and he will carry them to the top of the rankings. However, Tion gets scared and says that they should be more respectful to each other as they are going to spend a lot of their time together as teammates. Just then, another guy walks into the room and says that Malik is right about everything, as at the Overtime Academy all that really matters is their ability to perform well on the court. The person turns out to be the coach of the Young Dreamers team and he is only 8 years old, which shocks everyone. The young coach then suggests that they should settle who is the best player with a proper challenge to prove themselves. Hearing that suggestion, everyone in the room starts laughing at the idea, and Malik wonders who left this short guy in here. Seeing that situation, Dribble tells everyone in the room that this is DP, the youngest basketball coach to ever lead a professional team in history. Hearing that, Omari wonders to himself how someone so young can keep up with the professional leagues and their strategies, since he has never heard of a kid coaching a team before in his life. DP explains to the group that he already knew that people would react badly to someone his age being a coach for them, so he made plans ahead of time to deal with that situation and prove himself. Then Malik steps in front of DP and gets closer to him and says that he's not calling DP a coach until DP shows what he can really do first and proves that he deserves respect. After that conversation, the training begins and everyone gathers on the court as DP tells them that their team is called the Young Dreamers and that's their official name. However, DP believes that they don't know each other inside and out yet as teammates, so they will start with a classic 2 versus 2 match to see what they have got in terms of skills. Omari and Tion are on one team together while Malik and Jaden are on another team against them. DP then says that this match is an opportunity for him to see what they all can do and show their abilities. However, the player who scores the most points can be the team's captain for their first official match coming up. However, Tion asks if the captain position normally gets settled with votes from the team members. DP replies that they usually do it that way, but here at this academy everyone is arguing over who should be captain, so they need to decide it differently. DP then tells Dribble to activate the augmented reality system and when he activates, everyone can see information on everyone. However, when Omari sees Malik's stats, he gets shocked as they are super high. Malik and Omari then stand face to face and Malik tells him that with those stats of him, he can't score a single point on him. Afterward, DP tells everyone that the winners gain 10 athlete points and the top scorer will become the Young Dreamers team captain. Afterward, the match starts with Malik passing the ball to Jaden, but Tion rushes at him like a wild beast trying to steal it. Jaden quickly notices he doesn't have an open shot, so Malik suddenly taps the ball out of his hands and takes it for himself, which makes Jaden furious. Jaden reminds him that they're on the same team but Malik just runs ahead with the ball, saying that all Jaden needs to do is pass it to him and he'll handle everything else. However, Omari asks how bad he has to be to steal the ball from his own teammate, but Malik doesn't care and keeps playing, believing only one thing that they either keep up with him or get left behind. After that moment, Malik easily throws the ball into the basket with no problem and walks away confidently from the play. Meanwhile, Dribble asks DP if he noticed something important about the game, and it turns out that DP has noticed that issue already and is paying attention. In the match, Malik is dominating among those 3 players on the court, and Omari is frustrated because he can't steal the ball away from him, as Omari thinks that Malik is not just dribbling well, but his fakes, drives, shooting and other basketball skills are all at such a high level. After another play, Malik throws the ball into the basket again successfully, and the score of his team is 12 points while Omari's team is still at 0 points. Omari and Tion get discouraged and feel defeated, and Omari wonders that the first person they play against is such a complete player that they never thought they would face someone like this. Just then, DP approaches them on the side and tells them to remember that basketball is both a mental and physical game, and if they want to win against Malik, dominance over both aspects is essential and necessary. DP then calls them over for some advice, and 10 minutes later, Omari is actually playing better because of DP's tip. Malik wonders if Omari thinks they can come back even though the score is 12-0, but then Omari turns past Malik. Omari says that he always dreamed of playing against someone like him, but even though he is an incredible player, but out of everyone on team, he can tell he is the one who would hold them back the most. After that play, Omari passes the ball over to Tion, who then fakes a throw at the basket to trick the defense, but instead he passes the ball back to Omari for a better shot. After receiving the pass, Omari jumps up quickly and manages to throw the ball into the basket successfully, and now their score is 12-2 points. Omari then asks Malik if he wants to know what Coach DP told them before the game started. Omari adds that DP said Malik is easily frustrated and he doesn't even play well with his teammates, and with those few words from the coach, it was enough to set Malik off and get into his head. Omari also says that Malik's mental state is his weakest point as a player, and because of that weakness someone like him doesn't deserve the title of captain. Moreover, that's why Omari will take that role instead. Meanwhile, Gray visits Maya's room to ask her something important, and she is Overtime Elite's analytics lead and the inventor of the dribble robot assistant. It turns out she is also watching Omari's match on her screens right now. Meanwhile, Malik says that just because that little guy gave him a tip, he thinks that he is some hotshot. Suddenly, Jaden steals the ball from Malik and then he quickly throws the ball in the basket, saying he won't let them play this game without him. Omari then asks if they came to Overtime Elite to play against stronger players, but if they want to become the best, then they can't back down here. Afterward, the match continues with 30 points on Jaden and Malik's time, while Omari and Tion have only 6 points. However, Omari and Jaden are already tired as they thought that they would get a few more points easily, but Coach DP says that it went better than he expected. He explains that at the beginning of the match, his prediction was that the score would be 30-0, and this shocks Omari and Tion. DP then adds that prior to setting up the 2v2, he reviewed everyone's footage and training data from tryouts, and based on that, he put the better performers on one team and the weaker ones on the other. However, because they were able to adapt slightly using the tip he gave them, they exceeded his expectations. Moreover, he tells them that the game never goes according to plan, so adaptability is always an important part of his strategies. He further says that Malik has never had to adapt, because he's never been properly challenged by his opponents, and that will change at the academy. For Jaden, he is a shooting prodigy and his weak leg requires him to change his playstyle, but he is still relying on his teammates in different scenarios. For Tion, he thinks he is interesting, and in moments of intense focus, he saw him have incredibly heightened sense and doubled the height and range at which he could defend. Lastly, he thinks that Omari has the lowest skill but highest adaptability. Hearing that, Omari gets shocked, so DP says that he has seen elementary players with stronger stamina than him as his shooting is inconsistent and it's even worse under pressure. Omari is already feeling bad after hearing all these insults, but coach tells him that out of everyone that he saw at this year's tryouts, he has the highest growth potential. Afterward, Coach DP comes to conclusion that after today's assessment, he take back what he said earlier, and at this moment, none of them are suited to be team captain. Hearing that, Malik loses his cool completely and yells at DP that he crushes everyone in the tryouts, and now he is saying that they cannot be team captains anymore. Afterward, Malik leaves the court in frustration, and DP says that once he witnesses the monsters that dwell in this facility, then, he will know how good they are. He will realize that he cannot stay as he is right now. DP also says that if he wants to survive at the Overtime Elite Academy, then all it comes down to is how willing they are to change themselves and improve. Afterward, Omari and the other two boys train on running machines in the gym, and Omari feels that this new life is so different but familiar at the same time, because for once, it feels like everything he wants flowing into one path. Later that day, Omari decides to call his auntie and inform her about his first day when a group of people bumps into him, which leads his phone to drop on the ground. The guys consist of Tariq and Jean, who are high school prodigies from France with a lot of talent. Afterward, Maya asks him if he is alright, but then Omari gets scared because of two high school prodigies in front of him. Just then, Maya recognizes Omari, saying he is new rookie that recruiters won't stop talking about, the one who can adapt anything. Tariq then asks if this is another one of those overtime guys and how close are they to the academy, as it feels like they have been walking forever. Omari then tells Tariq that they are not supposed to talk about the academy so loud in public places, but Tariq says he doesn't care about anything or what the rules are. Tariq also adds that this overtime elite academy is lucky that he is even giving them the time of day and showing up. Seeing that attitude, Omari wonders what kind of attitude Tariq has and why the elite academy would even invite someone like this to join the academy in the first place. Omari then gets angry and frustrated and asks Tariq what basketball really means to him as a sport, and Tariq replies that basketball is fun and all, but it's not particularly challenging for him at all. After that, Tariq and Jean leave the area, and Jean apologizes on behalf of Tariq for his behavior. However, Omari wonders if Tariq really means that basketball isn't challenging, because if Omari sees him on the court, he will challenge him and prove him wrong. Later on, Omari and the others start their training once again and practice their skills, and Omari tries to throw the ball into the basket, but Tion smacks it off of his hand and blocks the shot. Omari wonders to himself that he can't just rely on adaptability as his only strength, as on his team alone there are already monsters like Malik that he can't beat. He can't even imagine how strong the other players are in this academy. If Omari wants to survive at this academy and compete at the overtime tournaments, he needs to become a stronger individual player with better skills. Omari then tells Tion that they are going to play one more time and practice again, but DP tells them to wait and stop because tomorrow is their first game. So, DP says that it will likely be the first time that all four of them play together as a team, but Omari wonders to himself that they should have done more team practice sessions together then to prepare better. DP says that he believes that the best way to introduce a team to each other is by letting them learn about each other through playing a game with high stakes and real pressure. DP adds that the feeling of life and death situations is what inspires true growth in players, and that's what he doesn't want them all to forget. Afterward, DP shows them their new team jersey and says that now they are officially a team together. The boys then wear the new jersey and they all seem to enjoy it and feel proud of being part of the team. Malik then asks DP how they are supposed to play a game tomorrow with only 4 players on the roster, and then DP introduces the rest of their team members, which includes Tariq and Jean as well, to complete the lineup. After that, Tariq says that he never imagined that his team is going to be full of tiny players, and this statement makes Omari angry and upset with him. However, when Omari looks at Tariq's stats on the screen, they turn out to be insane and incredibly high numbers. The next day, it's the first match for the Young Dreamers team, and Coach DP tells them that because this is their first game at the academy, all of them are beginning at the bottom of the overtime elite rankings. So, he thinks that if they lose this match, they already risk potential elimination from the academy and getting sent home. Malik thinks that winning sounds easy enough, but he asks what that girl is doing here with them. DP says that she is Maya, who works at the analytics and technology department at the academy, and she has agreed to assist DP with providing data to help the team's development and improvement. Maya then shows them their next opponent on the screen, which is the Cold Hearts team, and they are known for their fast-paced team play and coordination. However, one player they should be worried about the most is the Cold Hearts ace player, Jonathan Kai. Maya explains that based on data from previous games they have analyzed, it seems that Jonathan scores most of the points for his team, but they shouldn't underestimate his other teammates either because they all contribute. After that briefing, everyone gets ready for their first match and prepares themselves mentally and physically. Gray, on the other hand, thinks that 50-1 odd in favor of the Cold Hearts is surprising to him, as no one wants to bet on the underdog Young Dreamers team. Gray also thinks that the Cold Hearts survived the academy last year and have a consistent track record of winning games. Meanwhile, both teams stand in front of each other on the court, and Omari thinks that this is the one game they should be worried about. This is all because he gets to go against someone like Jonathan, who is in the top 20 on the ranking board. Tariq then tells Omari that if he wants to win this game, then he should just pass the ball to him and let him handle it. After that conversation, the match begins with the tip-off, and due to Tariq's tall height he gets the ball first and quickly runs towards the basket to score. However, Dribble then gives Tariq a penalty for catching the ball during the tip-off at the start of the game. Both Omari and Tion get shocked and surprised to hear that Tariq doesn't know about the tip-off rule, and Omari wonders if Tariq has even played a real basketball game before or not in his life. After that mistake, the ball gets to Jonathan and he says that he has dedicated his entire life to mastering this game, and he thinks that the academy is mocking them now by sending such inexperienced players. Jonathan then quickly runs past all the members of Omari's team with incredible speed, and in an instant, he throws the ball into the basket and scores points for his team right away. The match continues with Tariq having the ball in his hands, and he runs towards the basket as Jonathan follows him closely on defense. Suddenly, Tariq hears Jaden's voice calling out to pass him the ball for an open shot, but Tariq doesn't pass it because Tariq believes that he can't show the world how unstoppable he is if he gives away the ball to others. Seeing that selfish behavior, Jonathan understands that Tariq doesn't like to pass the ball to his teammates, and now Jonathan might be able to use this weakness against him in the game. Tariq then thinks about the offensive burst of speed from earlier that everyone calls a drive move, and he wonders what exactly it is and how to do it. Just then, Tariq does the same move that Jonathan did earlier in the game, and he easily gets past Jonathan with his natural athletic ability. However, another member of Jonathan's team steals the ball away from Tariq during the play with quick hands, and then he passes the ball to another player who then passes it back to Jonathan for the scoring opportunity. After receiving the pass back, Jonathan throws the ball into the basket and easily gains more points for his team once again with his shooting skills. Seeing that play happen on the court, Maya thinks that this situation is really bad for their team and they're falling behind, but DP says that this is exactly what he expected to happen in the game, as the Cold Hearts have been playing together for over a year now and they know each other's strengths and weaknesses very well from experience. Moreover, DP thinks that with their strategies and scoring potential surrounding their star player Jonathan, they are a very well-coordinated and experienced team that works together smoothly. Meanwhile, DP's team of misfits don't even respect each other enough to pass the ball around, and the players who are especially problematic are Malik and Tariq with their selfish attitudes. Tion then asks Malik to pass the ball to him so they can make a play together, but Malik doesn't pass it and keeps dribbling alone, and then Jonathan easily steals the ball from Malik and goes towards the basket to score. Maya on the other hand freaks out and panics watching this happen, but DP stays chill and calm as he thinks that teamwork is built on trust and experience, and his guys have never played as a team before, so he can't expect them to trust each other right away. After that play, Jonathan easily throws the ball into the basket and scores more points, and this makes Jaden angry and upset as he freaks out on Malik for his poor teamwork. Both of them then start arguing with each other on the court, and Jaden loses his cool as he yells at Malik that he is tired of Malik treating this like it's just a game that he can afford to throw away without caring about the consequences. Everyone gets stunned and shocked to hear Jaden's sudden outburst, as he says that he came here to this academy so that he can become the best shooting guard in the world, and if they don't want to give this everything they have got, then they should get off the court right now. However, Coach DP thinks that he can't advise them anything at this moment, but it looks like they found the key to taming this team and getting them to work together. After that speech, Omari then gives the ball to Jaden and tells him to do it their way and play like they practiced. The three of them then run towards Jonathan and his team to attack, but Tariq asks for the ball to be passed to him, but instead of passing to Tariq, the player passes to Tion who then passes to Omari quickly. After receiving the pass, Omari throws the ball into the basket and scores the points for their team successfully. After that, we get a flashback of Malik from his past where he is having a match against another team in the West Coast High School Finals tournament. Malik runs with the ball in his hand toward the basket, but a player from another team appears in front of him and tries to steal his ball away, so Malik passes the ball from behind to another one of his teammates to keep possession. However, Malik's teammate has too many openings in his defense and the opponent player named Lancer steals the ball from him easily and throws it into the basket for points. Malik's teammate says that Lancer is the top player in the league so he couldn't stop him from taking the ball, but this excuse makes Malik furious and upset. Malik then yells at the guy angrily, saying that he gave him a perfect pass that caught the defender completely off guard, and still he went and lost possession of it. Malik completely loses his cool and continuously yells at the guy for making excuses instead of taking responsibility for his mistakes. Back in present, Malik sees Omari and Tion running past him while they pass the ball to each other. Omari then gives the ball to Jaden in the end and he throws it smoothly in the basket and scores some points for the team. Afterward, Omari and others keep scoring one by one and for the first time in his life, Malik realizes that his team is scoring without him. In the flashback, Malik tells his teammate that he can't be the best unless he has the will to be the best. He also says that he is not worthy of his passes and since he stopped passing to them, they have been winning. Malik also tells him that if he wants him to believe that he is taking basketball seriously then maybe he should try scoring more than him. Malik then gets off his hand from his chest and says that he is tired of giving the ball to talentless fools who think this is just some game. Malik refuses to pass to anyone like that and the ones who are worthy of his passes will be those who would give anything for basketball. Back in the present moment, Omari is completely trapped by Jonathan and his team members who surround him on all sides. Omari realizes that they know that he is not passing to Tariq or Malik, so now they have triple-teamed him to prevent him from making any moves. Omari then looks around for Jaden and Tion and realizes that they are not open either for a pass, but out of nowhere Malik yells at Omari to pass the ball to him for a play. Omari then decides to give Malik the spotlight he so desperately wanted, and Malik should show that he is worthy of being on their team already with his skills. After making his decision, Omari passes the ball to Malik, who uses the same back pass trick that he did in the past during practice, and he passes the ball back to Omari, who then throws the ball into the basket for points. This play makes Malik realize that these are the players that he has been searching for with the same type of hunger for basketball all his life as him. After that play, the first quarter ends with Cold Hearts in the lead with a score of 31 points, while Young Dreamers has 25 points on the board. The coach DP then tells everyone that they have managed to close the gap a little bit between the scores, and piece by piece the team is starting to come together as well and play better. After the timeout, the coach DP calls over Omari and whispers him some advice in his ear, which annoys Tariq, who watches from the side. After the break, the match begins again with Jonathan running with the ball toward the basket, but then Jaden and Tion appear in front of him to stop his advance and play defense. However, Jonathan runs past them easily with his skills, and he says that just because they started playing like a semi-normal team now. However, they think that it's enough to survive in this league against experienced players. Jonathan then throws the ball into the basket successfully and confidently says that it will take them years of practice to play like him at his level. Tion then gets frustrated with the situation and wonders how they are supposed to stop a team like this that works so well together. After that, Jaden passes the ball to Malik, who then runs toward the basket, but Jonathan tries to stop him and block his path. He says that just because Malik stepped up his game doesn't mean he can change his fate and win. Meanwhile, Maya asks Coach DP if they should substitute Tariq out of the game, as he still hasn't touched the ball since the beginning of the first quarter of play. The coach replies that it's true that Tariq has no experience in playing basketball at all, but before coming here, he was a nationally ranked track star in running competitions. Maya asks why Tariq would quit track if he was so good at it, so Coach DP tells her that Tariq was good at every single sport out there that he tried. Every sport he ever touched on in his life, he has reached the national level since he was a child growing up. Moreover, Overtime Elite handed him a basketball, and his physicality has exceeded any player they have recruited to the academy. However, Coach DP reveals that the only thing that is holding Tariq back from reaching the next level is his bad attitude toward the game. DP adds that Tariq has no passion for sports at all, and his selfish desire has been the limiter in every sport he has played before. So, DP told Omari to continue keeping the ball away from Tariq, even if he's open and has a good shot. After playing for a while, Tariq loses his cool and gets angry on the court, so he tells Omari to pass the ball to him right now, but Omari completely ignores him and keeps playing. Tariq then gets even more enraged as he wonders if these people just called someone like him to stand here. Omari then passes the ball to Jaden, but Jonathan appears in front of Jaden to steal the ball, but out of nowhere, enraged Tariq steals the ball. Tariq then runs straight towards the basket even though the other team's players try to block him. Tariq then runs past them like a speed of flash and throws the ball in the basket. After that play, everyone gets excited to see Tariq's insane moves and athletic ability, and their team is finally closing the gap in the score. However, Jonathan recalls his past where he wondered that no matter how many points he scores in the end, it doesn't really matter to him. Back in the present moment, the coach of Jonathan's team tells the team that it's the end of the year and the season, and after the results of this game, half of the Cold Hearts team will be expelled from Overtime Elite. Hearing that news, Jonathan starts crying, and he wishes that maybe if he could be stronger and better as a player, then he could bring his teammates there together with him. Finally, the third quarter begins and Jonathan runs with the ball in his hands, but then Tariq and Tion appear in front of him to stop him and play defense. Just then, Jonathan's teammate shouts at him to stop hogging the ball all the time, and he comforts Jonathan that he is not playing alone and he can rely on his teammates as well. After hearing those words, Jonathan quickly passes the ball to his teammate without hesitation. In Jonathan's life, he has been used to being the only one who could score points, and he was responsible for carrying the team, but one person can only carry that burden for so long before breaking down. The guy then finally throws the ball into the basket and scores the points for the team, and Jonathan understands that he can put faith in his teammates to help him. After that play, the match continues with Cold Hearts leading the game in points, and this time Jaden has the ball in his possession. Jonathan quickly tries to stop Jaden from advancing, but Jonathan steals the ball from him easily and tells Jaden to work on his stamina especially and improve his endurance. After stealing the ball, Jonathan throws the ball into the basket and scores more points for his team once again. Meanwhile, Omari is extremely exhausted and tired from playing, and he wonders how these guys still the stamina and energy have to play like that at this pace. However, he thinks that his teammates still have bunch of stamina left except for Jaden, who is on the 30% stamina range now. He further realizes that the players of the Cold Hearts are still playing at 65% at least, and with Jonathan still at 70%. Seeing that situation, Coach DP decides to do something different or else they will lose the game for sure. DP then tells Lucas to go in next and substitute into the game, but Lucas is so sleepy that he doesn't even know what quarter it is right now. Maya then tells Lucas the gap, which is 20 points behind, and he has to make up that difference in 10 minutes of playing time. Maya then asks Coach DP why he sent Lucas in now, as Lucas only has an average of 7 minutes per match in his playing history, but how did he manage to make it to Overtime Elite Academy? Just then, Maya realizes something important, that Lucas averages 20 points per game in those minutes, and this was all part of Coach DP's plan from the beginning. It turns out that Lucas's average score per minute is the highest in the entire academy among all players. After that play, Jonathan wonders why the other team is substituting players out in the last 7 minutes of the game, and who this new guy is that just came in. On the other hand, Omari also wonders what kind of play style Lucas has, as he hasn't seen him play yet in any game. Lucas tells Coach DP to start a timer on a pocket watch that he gave him earlier, and then the game begins with the substitution. Jonathan runs with the ball while Omari and Tariq follow him and try to defend, but just as Jonathan is about to jump up for a shot, Lucas comes out of nowhere and steals the ball from him quickly. Seeing that steal happen, everyone in the arena is stunned by Lucas's speed, but then the other members of the opponent team try to stop him from advancing. However, they notice that Lucas is not slowing down at all as he runs, and he then runs in between both of the guys without stopping his momentum. Jonathan then throws the ball in the basket, and this shocks all the recruiters who are watching and wonders why the Dreamers were hiding this guy. The Coach DP tells Jaden and Maya that Lucas is a prodigy, but there is also a limit to his genius. He says that he is by far the fastest and most complete player at overtime, but he can only play for 7 minutes before he burns out. Jaden asks if there is a reason for that, so Coach DP says that it's a medical condition, he says, and that's why he is always sleeping. After that moment, Lucas scores another point for the team successfully, and Jonathan wonders if he has never played against someone with such explosive power and athletic ability before. The match continues with the Cold Hearts having the ball in their possession, but Lucas easily steals it from them with his quick reflexes, but he then gets blocked and surrounded by defenders on all sides. Lucas then notices Malik running around the court, so he quickly passes the ball to him to keep the play alive. But then Lucas gets ready for a really fast run and he goes straight towards the basket at top speed. After receiving the ball, Malik passes the ball towards Lucas through the air, thinking that Lucas is someone who is worthy of his passes and trust. Lucas then jumps up high to throw the ball at the basket, but so does Jonathan, who tries to block him, and both of them crash into each other midair. However, the ball still goes into the basket and counts as a score, but Jonathan gets called for a foul by the referee. Now, the Ing Dreamers are only 2 scores behind Cold Hearts, but the worst part is that Lucas is at his limit. The coach then substitutes Lucas with Jaden, who calls Lucas a real monster on the court. Afterward, we get a backstory of Coach DP, who everyone called a little useless guy and everyone tried to keep him down, not wanting to pay him salary as the other coaches. Tired of being underestimated all the time, Coach DP decides to shape a team that can shred even the gods and monsters of this sport, and a team that will change basketball forever. Back in present, it's 4th quarter of the match already. Omari tries to focus as he has been watching Jonathan this whole game, so he thinks about every play he has made to predict what he will do here. Just then, Tion also joins Omari to steal the ball from Jonathan and help with the defense. They both block Jonathan completely on both sides, and then Tariq steals the ball from Jonathan immediately while he's distracted, but the other members of the Cold Hearts try to block Tariq's path. However, Tariq wants to do exactly what Lucas did earlier in the game, so he just makes them run around him in circles as he runs past them with his speed. Jonathan then arrives and tries to steal the ball back from Tariq, but Omari does it before Jonathan can make the steal happen. However, Jonathan quickly slides towards Omari on the court, saying that Omari used Tariq to get the ball across the court with a smart play. Jonathan then starts sweating and breathing hard, wondering what Omari will do if he wants to tie this game, as Omari will still need to get past him on defense. However, Omari says that he doesn't want to get past Jonathan by himself, so he quickly passes the ball to Malik instead for a better play. Jonathan then sees that Jaden is running from behind to join the attack, so he decides to stop them no matter what it takes. When Malik passes the ball straight towards Jaden through the defense, Jonathan runs towards the ball to intercept and stop it, but the ball gets to Jaden, who then throws it toward the basket. With the final clock ticking down and the Young Dreamers down by 2 points in the score, the pressure is so strong and intense that even the spectators in the arena can feel its weight on everyone. However, the ball then goes into the basket successfully and the time gets over at the right time before it expires. The Young Dreamers then get 1 point extra over the Cold Hearts team in the final score, and they finally win the match in the end. However, Jonathan couldn't believe that they lost to someone like Tariq, who just started playing basketball and barely knows about the game and its rules. The Cold Hearts members quickly get discouraged and sad about their loss, but Jonathan tells them that they will climb back up the rankings and get them next time they play. Later that evening, Omari calls his auntie, who is actually in the hospital, and he tells her that they actually won their first game at the academy. Omari then wonders why he sounds surprised when talking about it, because it was actually a close match that could have gone either way. Omari thinks that everyone on his team doesn't really get along quite well yet as teammates, but they still managed to come together in the end when it mattered most. Meanwhile, Tariq and the others start dancing and celebrating in the locker room, while Omari asks his auntie about his little sister and how she is doing. Just then, Coach DP arrives at the locker room and informs them about a team meeting they need to attend, so Omari says goodbye to his auntie quickly, saying that he will call her later tonight. The coach congratulates everyone on their first win but also tells them not to get too excited. He thinks that they won hardly because of the buzzer, and in his book that's hardly a win. He then says that they spent the first quarter fighting amongst themselves, and it wasn't until the final play that they even bothered to play together. However, Coach DP tells them that they have to prepare for the next game already, as they are going to play against the City Reapers next week in their upcoming match. Before that preparation begins, the coach then sends them to class to pass their classes and keep up with their education before their actual training begins on the court. The days continued at the academy as by day, Omari fulfilled his promise to his auntie by doing his best in class and studying hard, and by night he fulfilled the promise to himself by training basketball. However, when everyone else slept in their rooms at night, Omari used to watch basketball matches all night long on his device, because basketball was all he could think about in his mind. One day, Tariq gets annoyed as he sees people carrying basketballs all the time around campus, and then he notices Jaden training hard on the court even though today is supposed to be their rest day from practice. However, when Tariq looks around the academy, he finds Tion and Lucas training as well on different courts, and so does Malik, who is practicing alone. Later that night, Tariq goes out for a walk, thinking that they don't even want to celebrate a little after their victory, and he can't believe how people can take basketball seriously in their lives. On his way through the campus, he sees Omari training on the ground using his imagination to create opponents in his mind. Tariq doesn't care about winning or being good at something particularly, but all that ever mattered to him is that he enjoyed whatever he was doing. At this school and academy, everyone uses every free second. They have to play more basketball and improve their skills, and to them basketball is everything in their lives. Tariq then approaches Omari and asks him if he wants to play one-on-one against each other right now. After that, their match begins and Omari wonders what has got Tariq wanting to suddenly challenge him to this one-on-one game. However, Omari does think that for someone who has barely played basketball before, it's going to be really hard for Tariq to get by his defense skills. Omari then tries to run past Tariq with the ball, but Tariq quickly slaps the ball off of his hand. He steals it and asks if this is really the best Omari can do even though he loves basketball so much. Tariq gets angry and frustrated and says that everyone on the Dreamers team feels like they would lay down their life for basketball and sport. Tariq tells Omari to show him what basketball really means to him and prove his passion. Tariq then runs past Omari with incredible speed, and Omari realizes that it's not the exact copy of the move, but this drive is exactly just like Jonathan's move from the game. Tariq then jumps up to throw the ball into the basket successfully, while Omari wonders that it's not just Tariq's physique that's impressive, but he can also learn moves at an insane pace just by watching them. Tariq then looks at Omari and wonders why Omari is smiling like that, because Tariq just scored on him, so Omari should be more frustrated and upset about it. However, Omari says that playing against someone with so much raw talent just gets him more fired up and excited, and to him there's no challenge that's more fun than going against someone like Tariq. After that score, Omari gets the ball and tries to run past Tariq with a move, but Tariq doesn't let Omari get through him and stays in front. Omari then analyzes every possibility that Tariq might take to defend him, then he draws Tariq to move in that expected path, and then Omari quickly changes his path, which leaves Tariq confused and out of position. Omari throws the ball and it goes straight into the basket, making their scores even in the game. Watching that shot, Tariq wonders if Omari learned this new drive move from their match against Cold Hearts earlier. Tariq then asks the same question that Omari once asked him earlier, which is what basketball means to Omari in his life. Omari says he didn't think it was such a hard question when he asked Tariq before during their conversation, but now he knows and understands that it's not so easy to answer honestly. For Omari, basketball is a way to escape from everything else in life that troubles him, and it's a dream he wants to keep chasing no matter what obstacles come his way. Omari realizes that if nothing else in the world mattered to him at all, basketball is the only thing he would want to play and dedicate himself to for the rest of his life ahead. For Omari, the challenge of wanting to be the best player in the world is what makes him want to play even more. When Tariq hears that, he is surprised and finally understands how much Omari wants to be the best. Tariq feels that when he played against people with cold hearts, he tried harder than ever before, and for the first time, he actually cared about football. The feeling that he could lose at any moment made the game even more exciting for him. After that, Tariq and Omari keep playing, and a guy watches them from far away, realizing that they are Malik's new teammates. That guy turns out to be Devontae Lancer, one of the top power forwards in California. After that, we see Malik's backstory, where his father used to push himself to train hard so he could always improve. Malik's tough training and non-stop pressure began from the day he was born because his father was once a power forward in the pro leagues, but an injury ended his career too soon. Since then, his father put all his hopes and dreams of becoming the world's best player into Malik. Malik spent every moment of his childhood trying to live up to those dreams and become the best, just like his father wanted. For a long time, he believed he was close to earning his father's pride, and that was when he met a certain boy who changed everything. Malik plays alongside a team of kids who, just like him, grow up with the singular purpose of living and breathing basketball every single day of their lives, while their opponents are supposedly completely brand new to the sport and barely have any experience at all. Malik has strong expectations that his team is going to easily sweep them off the court without much effort, but right after the tip-off happens, something catches his attention that he does not anticipate at all. Malik takes notice of one particular boy on the opposing team who radiates an incredible amount of charisma and displays a laid-back attitude that suggests he has a powerful presence that seems to fill up the entire court with his energy. Malik experiences a feeling that he never feels before in his entire life because he never encounters or meets a player who is so naturally connected to the game of basketball in such an easy way. As it turns out, Malik's team ends up losing that match in a really bad fashion, and just like his father always tells him over and over, defeat always tastes exactly the same as death tastes. Malik also takes notice of the fact that he never once sees that particular boy seem scared or afraid of losing the game, but Malik himself is always completely terrified of that possibility happening. While Malik spent every minute of his childhood chasing perfection, the world gave everything to him as he was a natural talent that didn't need to practice. However, the last time he saw him was at the end of his freshman year in high school where Malik's team faced off with him. The guy made fun of Malik, saying he worked so hard, but since the world is an unfair place, he can work hard as much as he wants, but in the end he simply wasn't born gifted like him. In the end, Malik loses again to him, and this makes Malik break down and cry right there on the court, but the guy tells him that he is not going to be here next year to beat him again like this. He adds that he gets scouted for a greater league where he can work towards becoming a professional player in the future. Back at home later that day, Malik's father beats him up really badly because even though he gives Malik all those coaching sessions and training opportunities, he still ends up losing the game anyway. Malik's father tells him to look at the incredible talent of that ace player named Devontae and asks him why he cannot be anything like him or have his skills. Back in the present time, Malik looks up Devontae's profile online and realizes that this is the exact same league that he went to play in, and he is actually part of the City Reaper team right now. The next day after that, both teams get ready and prepare themselves for a match against each other. Devontae asks Malik if he was following him all the way to Overtime Elite like some kind of stalker and makes fun of him in front of everyone. At the tip-off, Tariq passes the ball to Malik, but Devontae appears in front of him, asking who did his daddy bribe to get him in the Overtime Elite. Malik replies that as he is always yapping, today is the time when someone is going to shut him up. Just as Devontae tries to steal the ball, Malik quickly taps it on another hand, which leaves Devontae off guard. Afterward, Malik runs away from there while Tion blocks Devontae. Malik then passes the ball to Tariq, who wants to try something, but then Tariq quickly goes to the basket and scores the point. Omari and Tion wonder how Tariq learns all that so quickly, and Tariq confidently says that he sees it on TV yesterday while watching other games. Afterward, Devontae gets serious as he sees that they are playing a team-based game and working together against him. Devontae then runs past Tariq and Omari easily, saying Tariq is fierce and powerful but clumsy with his movements, and for Omari, he lacks the physical training to keep up with his peers right now. He then gets closer to the basket and says that he watches them all play before, and then fakes a shot which confuses Tion completely, and then he throws the ball into the basket. Seeing that happen, everyone gets shocked that not only is he extremely well-rounded as a player, but it looks like he does his homework on them and studies their weaknesses. Afterward, the match continues with Devante telling Omari that he spent so many points just studying his tryout footage. Devante tells Omari that he is only good at teamwork but individually he is nothing. Afterward, the City Reapers tightly guard all the members of Ing Dreamers and then Devante quickly steals the ball from Jaden and passes it to his teammate who throws the ball in basket. Afterward, Devante tries to pick on Malik again with his words, which makes him furious. Omari realizes that these two know each other from before and this would explain why the tension on this court has been so high even from the start of the game. Afterward, Devante shifts their team's strategy with just a snap of his fingers like it is nothing, and Devante knows that they are honed as a team, so he is forcing them to play individually instead of together. Afterward, Malik gets the ball in his hands and he shows some insane tricks in front of Devante and makes him believe that the ball has been vanished into thin air. Omari then gets the ball passed to him and when he sees an opening on the court, he quickly passes the ball over to Jaden without hesitation. Afterward, Jaden throws the ball toward the basket from nearly half a court distance away with all his strength. The Ing Dreamers are 5 points behind City Reapers and this time, Malik has the ball but Devante keep running after him. Malik quickly shoots the ball towards the basket but his shot hits the object instead and bounces back and then Malik jumps again and fakes a throw in the basket. He quickly passes the ball to Jaden who then easily throws the ball in the basket, leaving everyone stunned. Seeing that, Maya gets excited as she thinks that most of the executives are betting against Ing Dreamers but they are actually catching up. However, Dr. DP says that even though they are winning, but the gap still hasn't closed as Lucas is scoring half his average due to the City Reapers' defense and the fast tempo of the game, so he won't last longer either. Meanwhile, their defense is lacking as Tion and Tariq haven't registered a single stop in isolation. He thinks that Malik is playing exceptionally well as he has 12 assists and only 1 turnover. He also thinks that the only one who's managed to do anything with those passes, while being contested on every shot is Jaden. Afterward, Jaden gets the ball and he quickly runs past players but Devante appears in front of him. Devante says that of the last 38 points, 20 came from him and now he has to shut him down so that his team will be finished. However, Jaden laughs it off, saying his team has been passing the ball to him all this time so he has responsibility of shooting. Afterward, Jaden jumps up to throw the ball at the basket, but his ankle starts hurting again badly, and because of that he throws a faulty shot that does not go inside the basket at all. However, the ball then quickly gets to Omari after the rebound, and he throws it into the basket and gains the points for the team to keep them ahead. Devante then smiles like a maniac to see Jaden fall down on the ground hard, as he is surprised that he actually lasts this long in the game with his injury. Before the third quarter begins for both teams, Coach DP tells everyone that Lucas has reached his limit and cannot play anymore, so he will substitute him out of the game. The coach then asks Jaden about how long his injury has been bothering him during games, but Jaden tries to lie about it, so the coach says that he reads his data and knows everything already. Coach DP says that Devante also knows about this weakness because he does research of his own on all the players. The coach then says that they have to forfeit the match for safety, so he is calling the doctor to come to check Jaden. But Jaden tells him not to do that and let him keep playing. The coach then asks Omari about what he thinks since he might know about this situation better than anyone else. However, Jaden then gets worried and tells them that he can win this game, and they are so close to ending the game and finishing it. Hearing those words, Omari says that he trusts Jaden to finish the game. Omari adds that he pulls through during tryouts when things are hard, so he can do that now as well, and he urges the coach to let them continue playing. Afterward, both teams get onto the ground and start warming up, and Devante smiles in a confident way and says that they are better off forfeiting the match right now before it even starts. Malik realizes that Devante is definitely up to something suspicious as last night, when he spends time reviewing all the City Reapers games on video. He notices that there is no clear evidence of foul play anywhere in the footage. Moreover, around 25% of their games end up resulting in opponents retiring from Overtime Elite permanently due to physical or mental injuries that they suffer. He also thinks about how Devante never goes to practice sessions with his team, but he is always well researched and prepared. However, by using his knowledge of an opposing team's past data and statistics, Devante can predict his opponents and their moves with near-perfect accuracy every single time. In the third quarter of the game, Devante now has the ball in his possession and he keeps running up and down the court, while he also tries to provoke Malik at the same time with his words. Devante keeps telling Malik over and over that in this game everyone has to care about themselves and their own success and not worry about others around them. Afterward, Devante runs past Malik and then he runs past Tariq and Tion like they are piece of cakes. He then quickly throws the ball in the basket using a reverse double pump technique. Seeing that, all the recruits including Gray get shocked as Devante did a reverse double pump against 2 defenders that easily. Afterward, the game continues with Malik passing the ball to Jaden, who then easily scores a goal, and now Ing Dreamers are just behind 2 points from City Reapers. However, Jaden's leg keeps getting worse, which excites Devante even more. Afterward, the match continues with Jaden keep throwing the ball in the basket and earning scores for his team, and now Ing Dreamers have 93 points while City Reapers are at 95. Seeing that, Coach DP thinks to himself that there is only 10 minutes left in the game and they can definitely do it and win, but Jaden is already extremely exhausted. Then, the 4th quarter of the match begins and Jaden manages to score a total of 42 points in this game so far, while Devante continues to answer back with 40 points of his own to keep up. Finally, there is only 30 seconds left on the clock and Jaden is completely shut down by a double team that surrounds him from both sides. Jaden remembers his past experiences and how because of his bad legs he could not fulfill his promise to everyone back then. Then the thought of his teammates and their faith in him comes into his mind and changes everything. Jaden runs over to Omari to pass him the ball quickly, and then Jaden runs towards the basketball hoop as the final countdown begins to tick down second by second. Jaden's leg gets worse and starts hurting him more than before, but despite that pain he pushes himself to keep going forward no matter what. However, the fear of failing again is not letting Jaden take the shot, so Malik yells at him to pass the ball to him right now. Jaden then passes the ball over to Malik, but Devante appears in front of them out of nowhere and steals the ball away and says that from the moment they step onto his court, their fate is already sealed and decided. Afterward, the time gets over and the buzzer sounds, and Jaden falls down on the ground hard. Jaden then slowly opens his eyes and finds Omari and the coach looking over him with worried faces as he is being sent to the hospital on a stretcher. Omari keeps crying next to him as he thinks that everything is his fault, and if he had not decided that Jaden should stay in the game, then he would not have pushed himself so far and gotten hurt like this. The coach then blames himself for what happens, saying that he sees how exhausted Jaden is getting throughout the entire game and Devante is constantly forcing pressure onto his wounded leg on purpose. He further says that in the last play of the game, he could have pulled him out to protect him, but there is only 1 minute left on the clock and the score is nearly tied between both teams, and Jaden is the spotlight of the entire game and their best chance to win. Meanwhile, Malik goes completely crazy over Devante and what he did. Malik starts yelling out loud that he is targeting Jaden specifically because of his injury, and that is the exact reason why so many players have walked away from his games with serious injuries before. However, Devante talks back to Malik in a harsh way, saying since when does he start to give a damn about his teammates because he always leaves them to die and never cares about anyone but himself. Hearing those words come out of his mouth, Malik gets furious and angry beyond control and punches Devante right in the face with all his strength. However, instead of letting the punch hit Devante, Omari takes the punch himself because he does not want Malik to get expelled from the academy for fighting. Omari tells Malik that starting a fight in front of the entire academy is exactly what Devante wants them to do, but they will take revenge on him through basketball. Afterward, Omari challenges Devante directly and says that the next time they face each other on the court, they will get their revenge for what happened to Jaden today. However, Devante just calls them stupid and foolish for sacrificing a star player like Jaden and not forfeiting the game earlier when they had the chance to do so. Afterward, Devante walks away, saying that they do not plan on losing any games at all, so if they want to face them again in the future, then they should make it to the finals tournament. On the other hand, the staff takes Jaden to the surgical room quickly, thinking that with an injury like this he might not be able to play basketball again. Hearing that, Jaden starts crying and tells Omari and Malik to go on and win the rest of this sector for him. Later, Omari tells his auntie that they tried their best but in the end they lost. Just then, Malik arrives in the locker room and apologizes for punching him earlier, but Omari starts tearing up. 3 days later, everyone sits together to eat dinner with bad and upset faces, but Maya tells them about their next game that is coming up soon for them. She excitedly asks them if they are ready to play again, but none of them shows any interest or enthusiasm at all. Maya realizes that ever since Jaden's injury happens, things have been off with the team and their spirit is low, and if she keeps letting this get to them, then they will not survive the next game they have to play. Just then, Omari stands up from his seat and tells everyone that he needs to go talk to the coach about something important. Meanwhile, Coach DP is doing something on the court alone when a strange woman arrives out of nowhere, saying she hears that he is hiding out here at Overtime Elite. The woman turns out to be Coach Blanc, and he wonders what a scary lady like her is doing here at this place right now. She tells DP that the pro leagues are not the same without him being there, and when she hears that he is at Overtime Elite, she just knows she has to follow him here. However, DP asks what she wants from him, but she starts acting all nice and sweet and says they both are new coaches here and her team is playing his on Saturday coming up. Afterward, her attitude changes completely and she says that Overtime offers her double what the pro leagues are paying her, so she could not say no to that kind of money. However, when she finds out that he is at this academy, she gets that adrenaline rush back after she successfully gets him expelled from the pro leagues before. Just then, Omari arrives at the court and the woman acts nicely again, asking if he is their star player on the team with a fake smile. Afterward, the woman leaves and Omari felt some strange vibes from her. Omari then tells Coach DP that he came because of his performance in last game. He adds that Jaden carries the game for the whole team, so he cannot help but feel that if he had played better, then they could have won the match. However, Coach DP tells Omari that the past is unchangeable and cannot be fixed, so what matters now is what he can do in the present moment. Afterward, the coach reveals that he spends the last few days combing through the footage of their game with the Reapers over and over. From everything they have been through and other things he notices, he develops a special training regimen for everyone on the team. He then shows a video of Omari playing earlier in the season and says that his predicting skills and adaptability have improved a lot since he first met him at the beginning. However, he thinks that his mind is faster than his body can keep up with right now, so he wants him to watch those clips carefully and learn from them to improve. DP further tells him that he will find out that Devante is responsible for stealing 5 out of 6 possessions from him because his balance is off and not steady enough. Afterward, DP says that after crossing over to his primary hand during plays, if he is fast enough, he could have driven past Devante easily, but his physicality is not good enough to keep up with the plays he wants to make. DP then says that he wants him to push beyond his limits and go further than before, and Omari agrees to follow his plan without any hesitation. However, Coach DP goes on to reveal that since Jaden is now gone, it means there's an open spot left on the team. He explains that a new teammate will be joining soon, and 2 of them will have to go through his special training program. When the new teammate finally shows up, it turns out to be none other than Jonathan himself. Afterward, the coach takes Omari to a private section where for the next few weeks Jonathan and he will be undergoing a different training regimen from the rest of the team. Just then, Jonathan arrives at the training area and says that he has been interested in Dreamers ever since their game against each other. Both of them then greet each other in a friendly way, and Jonathan feels bad about Jaden and what happened, thinking he is a great player who did not deserve that injury. Coach DP then says that both of them know what it feels like to lose a game badly, so if they want to make a difference in the next match, then this training regimen is their only chance to get better. Afterward, their training begins right away and Coach DP trains them in different kinds of exercises to make them better players overall. However, they are not the only ones that are training hard, but the rest of the team is also training because they want to become better and uphold their promise to Jaden to win. Even at the end of the day when everyone else is resting, Omari goes out to train because improvement is all he can think about in his mind. Soon, Maya realizes that Omari's stats are improving in such short period of time. She thinks that if there is anything she learned about Omari, it's how he adapts to any environment he's thrust into. Moreover, after losing to the City Reaper team in that game, there is no doubt that he and the rest of the team are feeling the pressure and stress of it all. 2 weeks later that day, Omari's auntie receives a package in the mail from his school, and it turns out that they are the same goggles that Omari wears in the academy when he plays basketball. Finally, the day of the match arrives for everyone and both teams stand in front of each other on the court ready to play. Tion gets shocked to see how huge and big they are compared to their own team, but on the other hand, the woman from before makes fun of Coach DP again with her words, and Omari notices that happening right in front of him. Later, Jonathan tells them that he played against this team last year in a previous match. So, some of the players have graduated to the next sector already, but he sees the footage of their last game and they have the same play style as before. Jonathan says that they have the most consistent defense he has ever seen in his life, which is how they earn their name as the Iron Wall team. Omari then asks him about their coach and who she is, so Jonathan says that her name is Elise Blanc and she is a coach from the pro leagues with a lot of experience. Moreover, there is a rumor going around that she is the one who gets Coach DP fired from the pro leagues in the past. He also adds that she has many connections in the basketball world and she can do anything she wants because of her power and influence. Afterward, Coach DP arrives to the team and tells them that they are going to play aggressively and watch each other out on the court. He also says that it does not matter that the other team has good defense, because they have the strongest offense in Sector 1 as well to match them. Afterward, the game begins with Tariq passing the ball to his team at the tip-off. Omari then gets the ball but another guy appears in front of him. Earlier before the game, Elise tells her team to win at any cost necessary, but not only that, they should crush their spirit as she wants that team to crumble before their very eyes and fall apart. Back in the present time, Elise watches Omari play and thinks that he is the rising player of the Dreamers and their biggest threat on the court. However, she thinks that Omari is not much without his team either, and without their shooting guard, their scoring potential has been cut in half significantly. Omari then thinks about what move he should do next as the player from the other team is blocking him and staying in his way. Just then, Omari finds an opening in the defense and runs past the guy quickly, which shocks everyone watching because of his incredible takeoff speed that seems faster than before. Afterward, Omari passes the ball back to Malik because he gets blocked by defenders, and then Malik passes the ball to Jonathan, who then throws it into the basket for a score. Elise realizes that they managed to break their defense with this triangle formation that they are using on the court. Earlier in their training, Coach DP tells the team that without a proper shooting guard on their roster, they are going to have to get creative with how they can score points in games. He then tells everyone that the pro leagues rely on shooting three-pointers a lot, but they are not going to transform them into reliant sharpshooters overnight because that takes too much time. He then tells them about the triangle formation, which is an offensive system that focuses on three players that create space and other opportunities for scoring. Moreover, Coach DP adds that they form a triangle between three players on one side of the court, with the other two players balancing the other side to keep things even. Moreover, he says that the triangle formation requires all five players to be on board and working together, because even one imbalance can shatter the entire offense and make it fall apart. Back in the present time, both teams have the same score of 10 points each, and this time Jonathan is running with the ball down the court. Jonathan feels excited as he has a team that can finally match his skill levels for once, but then he passes the ball to Malik, who then gives it back to Omari without wasting time. Earlier in practice, Tion asks what the other players are going to do if three will form the triangle on the court, so DP says that new opportunities will emerge from that triangle formation for them to take advantage of. Back in the present moment, the other team's players completely block Omari from all sides, so he sees Tion open and decides to pass the ball to him quickly before losing possession of it. Afterward, Tion gets closer to the basket with the ball in his hands, but another guy from the other team jumps to block his path and stop him, so he passes the ball to Tariq instead. Then, Tariq easily jumps up in the air and scores points for the team after throwing the ball into the basket successfully without any trouble at all. Meanwhile, Elise notices that Ing's triangle offense is starting to break through their defense, but they're still in the lead. She also realizes that every time their team scores, Dreamers scores right back, which means they're putting everything they have into their offense, even more than usual. On the other side, Coach DP tells Maya that it's clear where the path to victory is. He believes that the team who figures out how to stop the other's offense first will end up winning. The game keeps going, and now the ball is with Malik, who starts to think that even though they keep scoring, it doesn't really feel like they're gaining any real lead. He thinks that Coach DP's strategy and this triangle offense mostly revolve around Omari and Jonathan as the main players on the court. With Jaden gone from the team, he cannot deny that those two are the ones spearheading their offense now, and most of their points run through them during games. Malik then decides to pass the ball to Omari like he is supposed to, but then he remembers his dad and all the harsh words and gets all enraged inside. Instead of passing the ball to his teammate, Malik decides to be selfish and try to score alone, but the other team's guy steals the ball from Malik easily, leaving him confused about what just happens. The guy tells Malik that he is trying to be the hero and stand out, but he is nothing without his teammates helping him, and this is why his father could not stand sight of him at all. Hearing those words, Malik gets angry, but the guy quickly runs with the ball and Malik runs after the guy to try to stop him from scoring. The guy throws the ball up toward the basket, but Malik jumps at him to contest the shot, and the ball still manages to get inside the basket anyway. Seeing that happen, everyone on the other team celebrates loudly as they get a three-point play from the basket and the foul. Afterward, Coach DP decides to change Malik out with Lucas as a substitute, which leaves Malik confused and wondering why he is being taken out right now. Coach tells Malik that he wants him to cool down for a bit as they are about to enter the pivotal point of the game. It is clear that Elise has instructed her team to use whatever means necessary to break their offense, even trash talk and making them angry on purpose. After that, Omari asks Tion if he can count on him because he wants to become the best center in the world. Tion tells Omari that he can and promises to do his best to stop the other team. Then they start running with the ball, and the opponents are shocked by Lucas's incredible speed. Lucas rushes straight toward their basket and suddenly passes the ball backward to Omari. Watching this, Elise is confused and wonders why they're doing that since Omari's scoring rate isn't very high. But thanks to all the tough training Omari went through, he manages to throw the ball perfectly into the basket and score some points for his team. Afterward, the opponent team gets the ball and they run straight towards Tion, who is determined to stop them. Afterward, Elise wonders if DP has his team practice their three-pointers to make up for their missing shooting guard who got injured. The ball then gets to Elise's team after a turnover, but the worst thing is the Dreamers are guarding everyone pretty heavily with a man-to-man press defense. Tion then asks the guy if he is afraid to take him on in a one-on-one situation, which makes the guy realize that he is so small and he has trouble defending them the whole game so far. Afterward, the guy charges Tion with the ball to try to get past him, but he manages to defend very well, so he keeps finding ways to go past him instead. The guy then jumps up to throw the ball into the basket for a score, but Tion appears in front of him like a beast blocking his path, which scares him. Tion then smacks the ball off of his hand with a strong defensive play, and with that the third quarter ends here for both teams. Afterward, Elise's team asks her what to do next and how to fix their strategy, but she remembers the day when she sees DP for the first time and she knows she hates him immediately. She feels jealous because she believes that a child like him could never reach her level, and she does not want to share the same stage with him in the basketball world. She believes that in the world of basketball, someone's network is power and all that matters, and all that effort building her connections pays off, so she uses them to have DP eradicated from her path completely. Afterward, the fourth quarter of the match begins with fresh energy, and the Dreamers are still 1 point ahead of the City Reapers on the scoreboard. This time, Malik is also playing on the court, and he thinks that his father is also watching him from the recruiter's office right now. Malik then begs Omari to let him end this game and score the final points, and since Omari wants to be someone that his team can rely on and trust, he considers it. Omari then shouts to clear out the space around him, which makes Maya think that he is not going to pass the ball to Malik after all. However, Coach DP says that he is doing exactly what he is supposed to do right now. Omari then spins around the guy that has been blocking him the whole time, but the guy also does a counter spin to stay with him. Omari then runs past the guy with his improved speed and thinks that he is sorry for not passing to Malik, because he wants to show the Dreamers and everyone watching that they can count on him to score. Omari then jumps up high in the air and throws the ball into the basket successfully, which leads that team to win the match against their opponents. Afterward, everyone starts celebrating except Elise and her team, who couldn't believe that she lost to a kid. Coach DP happily walks towards the team and says that it turned out even better than he expected, but Omari tells him that they couldn't have done it without his new offense. Dribble then congratulates Dreamers and says that next week, City Reapers and Ing Dreamers will have their final showdown, and then the winner will proceed to Sector 2 of Overtime Elite. He then informs that one of the City Reapers members, Killian, injured himself in last week's game. So, it's customary to offer someone of similar individual ranking a chance to be recruited for their place. He then announces that the one who will receive the offer to join the City Reapers is none other than Omari. Dribble says that everyone has noticed his presence on the court since he climbed up 30 ranks after joining Overtime Elite. He then asks Omari if he wants to stay with his team and try to beat the Reapers or join the top team in the sector instead. Omari replies that Devante is the best player, and losing to him once already, along with the friends he made, really made him angry. So he decides that he's going to stay with the Dreamers, move to Sector 2 with them, and get their revenge by winning together. After that, Dribble asks Malik the same question as if he wants to join the top team in Sector 1. Malik starts thinking that all his life he's wanted to be the best, and for him, playing basketball while being in second place feels completely pointless. Unexpectedly, Malik accepts the offer to join the team, saying his father always tells him that sometimes winning requires difficult decisions that are hard to make. Seeing that happen, Devante realizes that Malik has finally given up that dream of trying to beat him, and the only way he will ever become someone in this world is underneath him as a follower. On the other hand, Omari tells his team that he does not come to the academy to make friends with people, but he comes to become the best in the world at basketball. Malik then tells Omari that next time they meet on the court, they will be each other's enemies and opponents instead of teammates. Omari also tells him that he will not hold back against him when they face each other. Afterward, Omari leaves the court feeling upset but finds his dad on the way, who tells him that he makes the right decision by staying loyal to his team. The day after, when Dreamers lost to the City Reapers, Malik's dad called him on phone and scolds him for losing to Devante even after a decade. He then asks Malik if he isn't embarrassed, as when he was his age, he would already been scouted for the pro leagues. He then says that he sent him to overtime to prove himself, but he didn't, so he should consider taking him out and they can give up on this fake dream of basketball. Hearing those words come out, Malik says he does not want to give up on his dream because he loves basketball more than anything else. He then asks his dad to give him one more chance to prove to him that he is worthy of playing basketball and deserves his support. Back in the present time, Malik's dad asks if this is his plan, and if he cannot beat them, then he joins them instead. However, he thinks that it is actually a good idea and it is a small price to pay for success in the end. Malik then says that him becoming the best player is all he has ever cared about in his life, so now he will use Devontae to win the finals and prove that he is a worthy basketball player to everyone. Afterward, Malik walks up to Devontae's team, who says that nobody thought that after getting beaten by him for a decade, he would end up on his team. Meanwhile, Tariq is furious over Malik choosing that team for himself, and the coach then tells them that with one team member down, they are also at a huge disadvantage. He says that even if he picks up someone new, it takes time for a new player to build synergy with the team. The coach tells Tariq that with or without Malik they are still a team, and points out that Tariq is an all-rounder defense guy who will put more pressure in the game. He then tells them about how good the team is improving every day, so without Malik they are still a formidable team. Omari then asks Coach DP if he picks who is going to be subbing in for Malik in the upcoming game, but the coach says that no one is catching his eye as a good replacement. Jonathan thinks that having someone new that they never play with before only a few days before the finals is impossible and will not work out. Lucas then asks the coach if he can play the whole game instead, but Omari asks him if he is in good condition to do that for the entire match. However, Lucas says that it is true that he needs more energy and he will not last for the whole game, but he has always been helping them from the bench. So, he does not want them to lose because they are not synced up enough with a new player on the team. However, the coach DP decides to give him a chance and try how it goes to see if he can handle it. Finally, the day of overtime elite finals arrives for both teams, and everyone watches curiously and with excitement, including Omari's auntie, Jaden, and Malik's father. Afterward, the Dreamers and City Reapers enter the field to start warming up, and Devontae does not believe that the Dreamers actually make it into the finals against them. Omari then says good luck to Malik before the game begins as a friendly gesture, but he ignores him completely and walks away without saying anything back. Devontae then asks Malik if he is going to let his feelings get in the way again like before, but Malik says he will not let that happen this time. He believes that everything about his life depends on this match and the outcome, so he needs to win here no matter what it takes. As the team gathers on the court to start playing, Malik gets confused to see Lucas playing in the starting lineup, and there is no substitute on the bench either to replace him. Afterward, the game begins with Tariq passing the ball towards Omari on the tip-off to start the match. Omari and the others then run towards the basket as fast as they can, but when Omari sees an opponent in front of him blocking his way, he quickly passes the ball to Jonathan instead. Seeing that play happen, Malik realizes that Omari and Jonathan outplay that guy with their teamwork and coordination perfectly. Omari then faces Devontae directly on the court, but then he shoots the ball straight into the basket without hesitation or fear. Devontae realizes that Omari's dribbling, drive, and agility are completely different from the last time they play against each other in their previous match. Devontae then tells Malik that he hopes he pushes down his feelings for his old teammates, because they are about to massacre his team on the court right now. After that play, Devontae and Malik outplay Jonathan using the same exact move that Omari and Jonathan used earlier in the game against them. The two of them rush past all the other players on the court with perfect timing and coordination between them. Malik then takes the shot toward the basket, and Devontae jumps up high and slams the ball straight into the basket with force and power. After scoring that basket, Devontae thinks to himself that he does not even need the rest of the team to win, because with Malik by his side playing with him, they are already perfect together and do not need anyone else at all. Afterward, the ball gets to Malik and he quickly shoots at the basket from nearly half a court distance away, but then Devontae helps him put the ball in the basket with a follow-up play. The City Reapers are climbing in the points and getting closer, but the Dreamers are still ahead of them on the scoreboard for now. The crowd then starts cheering for Devontae, saying he scores 20 points already and it is only the first quarter of the game. However, Tariq tells Omari and Jonathan that Devontae is playing better than he has all season long and they need to watch out for him closely. Afterward, the match continues with both teams fighting hard, and Devontae quickly passes the ball to Malik, and Malik tries to shoot it at the basket. But then Devontae tells him to pass it back instead of shooting, so Malik then passes the ball to Devontae, who then quickly jumps up to the basket and throws the ball inside successfully. Now, the score difference is only 8 points between them and City Reapers are finally catching up to the Dreamers on the scoreboard. Omari wonders what that play was about, because Malik is completely open for a shot, but he stops and passes instead. He then realizes that the source of Devante's scoring is because Malik is opening up opportunities for him, but these two have known each other since they are kids and their dynamic extends beyond just basketball and goes much deeper. Meanwhile, Coach DP says that just because Malik and Devante are on the same team does not mean they are truly on the same team together. He explains that even if they are playing on the same team right now, they are still rivals and are battling each other for control and to be the best. Afterward, the second quarter begins with renewed energy, and this time Omari manages to throw the ball into the basket successfully for a score. City Reapers then rush towards Omari and his team to try to score back, but Omari tries his best to stop Devante from getting past him. Devante tells Omari that he is nowhere near his level even if he plays alone without any help from teammates, but Omari says he is not alone anymore, and then Lucas appears behind him to help defend. Coach DP then thinks that if they completely shut down Devante and Malik, then they create the most obvious path, which is a direct pass to his other teammates. However, Malik runs past Jonathan and Tariq quickly without slowing down, and instead of passing to his open teammates, Devante decides to pass the ball to Malik instead. Afterward, Malik runs towards the basket with speed, and instead of shooting the ball himself, he waits for Devante, who is coming right behind him, to catch up. Malik recalls that earlier Devante tells Malik that the only reason he lets him on their team is so he can pass to him and help him score points. He even threatens that if he does not follow him and does what he says, then he will destroy his dream of becoming the best player ever. Malik then quickly passes the ball back to Devante to let him score, but Omari steals the ball at the last second and says that he does not believe that he will not shoot for himself anymore. He further asks Malik since when is he the one who bows down to someone else and follows their orders like this. Afterward, Omari runs towards the basket, leaving Malik behind, who thinks about his life choices and everything that leads him to this moment. Omari then manages to throw the ball into the basket successfully, and City Reapers then get a timeout called because Devante thinks that the Dreamers are getting the momentum back, and Malik is crashing out mentally, so they need to reset and regroup. On the other hand, Lucas is also exhausted and breathing heavily from playing so much, so Tion runs over to give him some water to help him recover his energy. Tion thinks that it is a miracle that Lucas is surviving this far into the game, but they are not even halfway through the match yet. Afterward, Devante gets enraged and furious and yells at Malik loudly, saying he gives him a chance on his team and now he is giving up the ball and not passing to him. He then shouts that this is because his father wants nothing to do with him anymore, and everything about him is pathetic and worthless as a player. Just then, Omari slaps off Devante's hand away from Malik to protect him, and then the entire Dreamers team surrounds him, saying Malik is their friend and they will not let him talk to him like that. Afterward, Malik walks away from the court and says that his basketball career is over and done with for good. Malik then asks Omari what he thinks he is doing here and says that he betrays them all, so he should not care about him anymore at all. Omari then says that he does what he thinks would bring him closer to his dream, and whether they are on the same team or not, he still sees him as a friend who matters to him. Omari then asks if he is satisfied with all this and the way things are, because the Malik he knows would never accept playing in the shadows of someone else. Afterward, Omari and the others leave him standing there, saying he should think about the situation calmly and carefully and then answer when he is ready. Afterward, the game continues without him on the bench, and Malik wonders why he even enjoys basketball in the first place and what it means to him. However, Malik decides to play basketball for himself now, and he quickly runs past both Omari and Devante. Afterward, Malik scores the three-point shot successfully, which surprises everyone watching the game, but this makes Devante furious and angry, and he asks why he is playing for himself now. However, Malik gets angry too and says that he will give the ball to whoever has the best chances of scoring points, and he is not open, so he decides to score himself instead. Malik then tells Devante that he is way more scared of losing than he is of him and his threats, and all he cares about is winning this game no matter what. The game continues after that exchange, and Lucas asks Omari if the gap is increasing between the scores, but Omari thinks that if they win against City Reapers and they are not playing at their full potential, then he is not sure if he would be satisfied with that victory. Omari also realizes that Lucas has never played this long before, and the reason they have gotten this far is because they adjusted to Omari's play style. Earlier, the coach told them that if they are going to keep Lucas in game, then they have to be attentive to his energy levels. Back in the present moment, Lucas throws the ball into the basket and scores some more points for the team to keep them in the lead. However, Omari thinks that Malik is now passing on to everyone on his team, and this way their defense cannot keep up for long against them. Omari also realizes that they are way far ahead of the other team's score right now, and his team is already tired from playing so hard. Suddenly, Omari notices that Lucas is already at his limit and can barely keep playing anymore, and then Coach DP decides to take a timeout to rest. However, the coach informs Omari that this is not a timeout because Lucas needs rest, but the academy gets a call from the hospital and it is about his aunt. Afterward, Omari tells them that he is leaving the game because his aunt is in the hospital and he has to take the first flight back to New York. Dribble then announces that Omari has an emergency, so he is going to leave, and with not enough players to continue, Dreamers has no choice but to forfeit. Just then, Omari's phone starts ringing and his aunt answers, yelling at him not to leave the court because he has worked too hard to get here. She tells him not to worry, saying she's fine and that he can come see her once the game is over. After hearing that, Omari feels relieved and heads back to the court as the fourth quarter begins. During the game, Devante tries to mess with Omari's head by bringing up his aunt's health, hoping to throw him off, but Omari stays focused and runs straight toward the basket. Right then, Malik appears in front of him, blocking his path, so Omari quickly passes the ball over to Lucas. Afterward, Lucas throws the ball into the basket, thinking that he needs to push past his limits just like Omari is doing. Then Malik gets the ball next and shoots it straight into the basket as well. Now the whole stadium can clearly feel the growing rivalry between Omari and Malik. Devante starts to feel that something is off since the entire flow of the game suddenly seems to revolve only around those two. Soon, both Omari and Malik keep scoring again and again, grabbing everyone's attention and stealing the spotlight, which makes Devante furious because he doesn't want to be forgotten like that. So, Devante rushes in, snatches the ball right out of Omari's hands, and dashes toward the basket like a wild beast before slamming it right in. Afterward, the game keeps going and both teams are tied at 75 points, but then Devante shoots a three-pointer and scores, giving his team 3 extra points. The Dreamers keep trying to score, but the gap doesn't close, which makes Omari more and more frustrated. Soon after, Devante steals the ball from Jonathan, and with less than a minute left on the clock, things look bad. If the gap grows any more, the Dreamers are done for. However, Omari rushes after him while Lucas tells himself that there's only 1 minute left, and then he can finally take a long rest. All of a sudden, Lucas finds a burst of energy and runs forward to steal the ball from Devante, but Devante dodges him. Out of nowhere, Tion appears and snatches the ball right out of Devante's hands. Tion then throws a long pass across the court, which Tariq catches perfectly before quickly passing it over to Jonathan. Jonathan races ahead, speeding past everyone, but when he gets blocked by the defense, he wastes no time and passes the ball straight to Omari. Malik tries to stop Omari right away, but Omari sprints past him at full speed and manages to shoot the ball, sending it cleanly into the basket. Now with only 5 seconds left on the clock and the City Reapers holding the ball, Dreamers quickly call for a timeout. After that, Coach DP gathers the team and explains a plan to them before the game starts again. When play resumes, something unexpected happens. Tariq purposely bumps into Devante, causing a foul. The City Reapers are given 2 free throws, and on the first one, Devante shoots the ball cleanly into the basket. However, on the second try, he misses the shot, and the ball bounces straight to Tariq. Right away, Coach DP calls another timeout, and the Dreamers huddle up once more, planning their next move. Coach DP tells them that 4.5 seconds might not sound like much, but it's actually more than enough time if they use it wisely. Afterward, the game keeps going, and Tariq sends a long pass toward Omari, who catches it and sprints straight toward the basket. Just then, Devante steps in front of him to block, and a moment later, Malik also shows up trying to stop him. Omari doesn't hesitate, he throws the ball just like Jaden would and it flies perfectly through the air, landing straight in the basket for a 3-point shot. The crowd goes wild as Dreamers finally wins the match. After the game, Malik walks up to Omari and thanks him for reminding him why he started playing basketball in the first place. Later on, Omari goes to visit his aunt at the hospital, bringing the whole Dreamers team along with him to meet her. As he sits there, Omari starts thinking that this is exactly why he loves basketball so much and why he chose to chase his dream in the first place, because through the game, he found not just teammates but real friends who became his new family. How far do you think Omari and the young Dreamers can go in Sector 2? And will Malik's decision to join the City Reapers come back to haunt him? Comment overtime if you're ready for the next chapter of the series. Make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more sports manhwa content.